have done the renovations essentially to gotten rid of the evil statues, and everything is ready for you for the reconsecration. But to which god? To your own, or to one of the dwarven gods, or what?
I don't think the dwarves would appreciate it if I consecrated it to my own. I'm pretty
I
sure
don't
the
think so.
terms was just to consecrate it. I don't think it was to
I
any
think it was
particular
actually
god.
to restore it to what it once was. Because the idea is that
Makes sense,
because
yeah.
we gave into the Zentarum, the place got destroyed, and like so
Yeah,
it's our responsibility to put it back the way it was.
Sounds about right. So it would have been, to consecrate it to whatever the god was before Bane filed it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Unfortunately, I cannot cast Hollow myself, but I will be present while the dwarven clerics do their thing.
Cool.
This goes down in a very bizarre page in religious history. Like a paladin of Seamorph restoring like a dwarven temple.
A noble ethical goal that is in line with chivalry. So while it probably doesn't happen very often, it's not outside the realm of influence.
And once I see that's done, and then use my divine sense to check whether it has been hollowed, and see that it is, I'll be very relieved and happy that I completed that personal quest.
Okay, so that gives us a great deal of power over this region. Great deal of influence. Between the mines of Tethiamar on the far side of the mountain and Dagger Falls on the east, Tethiamar and Tethok in the subterranean realm, the destruction, as I recall, of the Sand Fort. Though we haven't done anything about the Castle of the Cat. But predominantly, this area is free of Zentarum taint and influence. There are numerous other threats, of course, but we've secured a great deal of territory here. And while we don't have borders or anything, we do have armies, and this will allow us to exert power in just about any direction that we wish. It's a form of income as well, where we're bringing in enough money to sustain the army and to equip it. Everything's coming up Millhouse. Things are good for us right now. And when we return to the surface, we find a world that is ready for us to ply. Destiny is in our hands, and where we go from here is up to us. So here we are back at the surface once again with our hand really on the till, in the driver's wheel. I know that as players, we probably want to go to Hillsfar. I hope so, because it's what I've been working on. How does that unfold from a character perspective? How much downtime do we want to take up here? What do we want to do during that downtime? Are there any people that we want to contact? Any information that we need to know? Or what? Or do you just want to hear like an out of character idea for how the Hillsfar adventure comes about?
I suppose one thing to do before that is, because I remember Flight just collected some things in in Tethok that he wanted to give to it's Kar Gembel, the leader of the Dirge.
Oh yeah.
The poetry and whatnot.
Yeah, the copy of the Runes history, the very biased history, is going to gift those to him, as well as these scroll fragments of the old Delzoon.
Very good. It's a cultural artifacts that are truly priceless, and and for the first time in decades, you make the man weep.
What a sight that is, seeing a dwarf cry.
Yeah.
I suppose just give them directions to where we found them.
Brilliant.
But I guess as for Hillsfar, I suppose we could get and ask for a report from the spy we have there. See if there is like an opening that we could use to damage the Zentarum, because they're quite close, aren't they?
Good place to start. Yeah, it's a good place to start. All right. So the spy tells you this. First of all, Hillsfar has fallen. It belongs to the Zentarum now, but they're unable to secure it. They've taken the walls. They've taken the city. But it remains a hotbed of insurgency. The Braun, who is the guy who used to run the show before the Zentarum took over, is locked up in his wizard's tower in the center of the city, and there are various magical protections that are preventing the Zentarum from getting in. The Zentarum have declared like ongoing arena games. They're happening basically every day as a way of pacifying the population and also dealing with criminals. Why lock them up and feed them when you can just throw them into the arena and kill two birds with one stone by getting rid of the agitators while entertaining those who would become agitators. So, strangely enough, life in Hillsfar has not exactly returned to normal, anything from it, but life is going on. The siege is over. The battle has been won. The raping and the pillaging was kept to a reasonable limit, I suppose. They didn't torch the whole city, and after a few days of terror, the shops are opening again. The games are running, and life is sort of returning to normal in this bloodthirsty, militaristic city. One thing that the spy does mention is that the influx of the demand for gladiators means that there's that basically anyone can become a gladiator at the moment. It's very open. Um, they've relaxed the rules on it somewhat, rather than every single person who goes in there being a criminal. Um, there's a lot of semi-professionals as well. They have to have human owners. That's part of the law. But once they have any warband that has a human owner called a factol is then able to go into the arena and get some certain protections. Um, uh, once you become popular within the arena, once someone becomes a famous gladiator, they become somewhat unpolitically untouchable. Since the whole point of the arena is to pacify people, and if you go and then persecute somebody's heroes, then all of the good work that you've done, giving out your bread and circuses, has been for nothing, and you've just made the situation worse. Um, so I guess that's a bit of an opening for potential insurgents to get into the city, maintain their guise for a while, and hopefully achieve enough popularity that they become untouchable.
I think that would appeal to us as a possible option, because while we do have an army and we could stage some sort of military assault, as you mentioned, the Zentarum have taken the city and they have control of the walls now, and a prolonged siege wouldn't do us any favors. So if we could uproot them from the inside without having to lose like half our army in the process, it would be a more advantageous way to do it.
And I guess Flightless will set up the telepathic bond because he's got something to say that he can't like mimic. Because I've got a spy in the city. This goes by the name of, I mean, an informant within the city. Is it goes by Vol Del Duzin?
See, one of your spies.
I think either he or Leo would make a good, I guess, owner for us to go under the guise.
Can't say I'm a fan of this particular charade, but might be the most efficient way.
But I believe he won't be help to me in this city. He believes I a human by the name of Faria Dokar.
Continue.
So could Leo pick up the persona?
I don't know. Is that something you'd be comfortable with, Leo?
I have to admit, I'm not very good at the old lying. I was more of at church. Social interactions may not be my strongest suit. It's more of a sort of hack with a great sword and cast spells rather than study a book or talk to people.
So I can relate. I personally swore an oath never to falsely speak that which I knew was untrue. Even
And
if I
when
could
was young,
pose
you
as
either
human.
lied or were killed.
Yes, I do not fault you for it, Flightless. Do not worry. It is a personal oath that I would not enforce on others.
But at that, I will do whatever Cormier needs.
Good man. Good man.
If we had some downtime, there was a couple spells I wanted to pick up from like the Red Wizards.
Absolutely.
So that would just be from the same magic items, the levels, right?
Yeah, go ahead and use that, yeah.
Sweet. And then it's 50 gold per level to copy into your spellbook, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It's like some get for half, but I'm playing a special class.
But that's if you
cool
have
enough.
like
Yeah.
a specific like SUV subclass has like a type of magic in it, like Evoker or Enchantment.
I think war wizards don't have a magic specialization.
Nah. You wanted teleportation circle? I remember you reading from like one of your paragraphs.
Oh, teleport specifically. I don't think we're high enough level for that. We need to level one more time.
Is there a
But
difference between teleportation circle and teleport? Whoops.
Well,
That's
teleportation
not
circle could
realised.
still be handy.
Yeah, circle is between circles.
Yeah, teleport is more free. You can just go wherever you want.
Ah, yes, I see. Ooh, Mordecai's magnificent mansion. Always wanted that.
Yeah, even teleportation circle could be useful though, because there is probably one somewhere in Suzail within the palace. And I don't know if there's one in Telimar up near Dagger Falls or anything like that.
So what did
There's probably one in.
the demon portal? What did that count as?
Good question.
Yeah, it can be reconfigured as a teleportation circle. It's a multi-purpose circle.
Very cool. I
Cool.
suppose
So
with my spies,
we-
is there
Yeah.
one in like Hillsfar?
Probably in the Wizard's Tower. The dude who so the short answer is no. The Red Wizards actually would have one. Yeah, the Red Wizards have one there. Yeah.
Interesting.
Probably not going to give you access to it, but they have one.
I didn't think they would. Yeah, if we had, if we could get access to one, say within the palace in Suzail or somewhere similar, and then we have one in Telimar, going back and forth between Cormia would be very, very easy. Save us a lot of time if we ever.
Yeah.
So I know. Wait, I went back to the Storm King's Thunder again, and Jolaro is one of the items you can get from the Robe of Useless Things.
Jolaro.
Yeah, he's one of my spies.
He can literally take your layer off the. Yeah.
He's literally from the robe of useless items.
Pretty funny.
Now he belongs to me.
Didn't even make it onto the robe of useful items.
No, he didn't. Absolutely not. Definitely not. He's definitely not as useful as a pair of mastiffs or a ladder. No, absolutely not.
So yeah, if you wanted to pick up teleportation circle, by all means, we could definitely get use out of it. It'd just be a bit obsolete come next level.
I think it
That's
just
fine.
depends.
Who knows when we'll level up anyway? A
As
lot
well
of spells
as-
become
Yeah.
obsolete as you level up.
If you use your
It's just-
1/7 level spell slot, it's like, we need to teleport. It's like,
Yeah, that is a good point too.
It shouldn't cost me that much. About 900 gold to copy it.
Yeah, I don't think we're like poor by any means. I don't think 900 gold is going to be too much of an issue.
I have to admit, I love Arctic's games because in all other games you had to like type out every spell, but every single spell's here. You just drag it over. It's great.
Good.
Inhale it onto your character sheet.
Yeah.
So speaking of character sheet, that reminds me, your character never got officially introduced, did he? We kind of just he kind of just appeared, and we kind of glossed over that just to get the game rolling because it was in a
because
difficult
it was
spot at
just
the
right
time.
at the start of Tedima.
Yeah.
I thought I did a quick introduction at the start of Telema where we were like waiting for somebody's game to work or something.
Did you? I just didn't think you got like the proper introduction that people would normally get, so I wanted to give you the opportunity.
Like the Arctic trademark character introduction sequence.
Yeah.
Indeed. The montage.
I just felt bad because I thought that you were the only person who hadn't received that treatment.
I don't think you did. Or if we did, it was very, very brief.
I thought we did a quick one.
Oh, well, if you're happy, then by all means, we can continue.
Yeah, I don't really mind.
Same for
Cool.
Sildarin. I think we did one for you, didn't we? Locke?
Yeah, a little bit if memory serves.
Mm.
Just making sure.
Also, just remember, Flightless also has a spell book. If you want to take spells from it, it is every ritual spell.
That doesn't sound like combat spells though. I remember I wanted to pick up Chain Lightning. That's what I was going to pick up. It's the actual spell I wanted.
Oh yeah. Good spell, yeah. I think it's 6th level, right?
Yeah, because I got the sword that adds the one extra thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. I remember now.
I think if you ever managed a multi-class Tempest Cleric and Sorcerer high enough to be able to get Chain Lightning and use your Channel Divinity on it, I think it can be pretty brutal. Yeah, how long will it take to copy the spells into your book so we know how much time downtime you have?
I think it takes.
2 hours per spell level.
Thank you. I'm playing a different wizard and it's like 2 minutes, so I can remember what the actual one is.
Yeah. So basically 1 day per spell, roughly speaking.
Yeah, I'm taking 2 spells, so 2 days.
All right, 2 days is pretty reasonable.
Hmm.
I think in that time we can secure our equipment somewhere safe, get ourselves some banal, mundane clothes so we're not just walking in there naked, and prepare ourselves. I also
When
guess
you
I'll also
buy your
ask Flightless. I was just going to ask if Flightless could also task his spy to find out what kind of rules surround the arena, so that we know what we
What's
can
allowed
prepare
in and
for.
stuff. Yeah, so yeah, he'll send that off. Through the Enchantress.
it's a bit of a it's a bit up in the air at the moment because the Xantarum are a little inexperienced with this, and they're trying to please everybody while also oppress everybody at the same time. a very unusual carrot and stick situation. It depends. It depends on the individual event is probably the best way of saying it. The main thing is that all owners must be human. The other thing is that the rules don't really matter. It's very arbitrary. So by not having any specific rules, they can then announce that the rules have been violated, uh, um, and um, and feel justified in delivering some kind of retribution.
So like, I guess the example is like oh yeah, magic's allowed, why not? And then someone steps in and like uses like a 9th level spell and kills everyone immediately. And it's like, oh, that one's not allowed anymore. You don't win.
Exactly like that. That's right. Technically, magic isn't banned, but magic can, get you banned. Yeah, it's by not having rules, they give themselves the power to make them up on the spot.
Very unscrupulous.
Yeah, but also very flexible. The Zentarum don't want to ignite the tinder keg. They've just won the city. They don't want to set it on fire all over again and have explosives. So they're trying to do baby steps themselves to work out what they can get away with and what they need to do. So it's a very uncertain time. Yeah.
Right. Just wondering, like, if we can bring any of our own items in, or if we'll be supplied by the arena to fight with pre-designated equipment.
The latter. It's assumed that a couple of things on that. First of all, it's up to the individual event. First of all, it's up to your factol. Factol is the person who owns you, the owner of the slave group. Kennel. Yeah, stable. That's the word. So whoever owns the stable is called the factol. It's partly up to them what you have. It's mostly up to the person who organizes the fight. Like this fight might be this fight might be all about axes, or this fight might be all about archers, or something like that. And that gets us to the third thing: is the thematic event. These aren't just two dudes with swords and shields going at each other until one loses all of its hit points and dies. They're meant to be more cinematic. Is obviously the wrong word because cinema doesn't exist. Theatrical, that's the word. They're meant to be more theatrical than that. They're meant to reenact historical or mythological events, and the gladiators basically play a part, play a role. You're not just dying; you're dying for the sake of entertainment, for the sake of theatre. And so, they might dress you up as whatever, so that you can play a role. So I know this isn't very clear,
So I guess
but
the
basically
example would be,
it's circumstantial.
like if like the arena somehow got a hold of the like an ogre, like they do like weekly fights where they send people against the ogre dressed as like, is it Odysseus, until one person defeats him.
Yeah, exactly like that. And because it's meant to be a cyclops, they knock out one of the ogre's eyes for authenticity. Yeah.
I meant to say Cyclops.
Yeah.
But like, since a normal person can't kill a Cyclops, it's just like a crowd thing. It was like, yeah, let's see if the new Odysseus can defeat him this week.
Yeah, exactly right. And maybe the ogre is chained up or has one hand tied behind its back or something like that to add fairness. And that brings me to a fourth point, so I'm glad we got here, is that the way your spy sees it is, on one hand, you want to maintain a low profile because, like, you go into the arena as a nobody and you build up a bit of a following. You want to reach to the point where you become popular without anyone knowing who you are. A very tricky prospect. So somehow you have to win without using your powers. Somehow you have to become famous without having an identity. somehow you have to become so indispensable to the arena that the Zentarum can't enact justice upon you. So it's walking on glass. It's a very delicate balancing act as you attempt to make a name for yourself and get success in the ring without getting too much success, without getting too much attention. Yeah, the spy can't help you in this regard. It's just an observation that she's made. Yeah.
Hmm.
Wait, so
Or a
is that
conclusion.
walk into the arena and cast chain lightning, killing loads of people, or walk in and full on your own sword and kill yourself by accident?
I think
Yeah,
I think somewhere
something like
between
that.
those two.
I think the idea is we're going to need to hold back. We can't demonstrate the full extent of our abilities.
Until maybe you're facing someone where, unless you do that, you might fail. Yeah, so that's her conclusion.
Because Flyers just
Um,
isn't actually that. Like, him in the arena might actually be fun to watch.
Yeah, your abilities aren't particularly flashy, are they?
But if we see someone doing like 72 points of damage with a hit, it'd be like those animes where the Yatsu master doesn't even appear to draw his blade, and you've already been chopped in half. Um,
I
yeah. So
suppose.
even mitigating how much damage you can possibly put out, lopping 7 dudes' heads off in 2 rounds.
That's flashy.
Right?
I
It's,
mean,
it's
like,
flashy. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like, over the course of, like 3 or 4 rounds, you get someone down with a rapier. Is what I'm talking about. I think that's what Flightless would be like.
Yeah, and you could always hold back your insightful fighting, like go through the first few rounds without using it, and then use it for the finishing blow. Get your sneak attack on the last hit for a dramatic finish.
I won't be able to use it in the fight, but I think it's about time Flightless got a pistol, so he can stop throwing knives at people. I mean, those like
Stone
flip
shurikens at people.
What about a hand crossbow for the arena then? You don't want to take a gun into the
I mean, I
arena.
suppose that would be like a signature move. Parry this.
Filthy casual.
But I suppose, would the old Delzoon have guns for sale?
Um. Uh,
Artisan could probably build one. Because we still have him wandering around with us.
yeah. Yeah, that's right. Artisan can build you one. Yeah. So if you want a gun, he'll get you a gun.
He knows a guy.
That's right.
Because it's $250 for the gun, but how much for bullets? I never picked up my ammo.
1 gold piece is a shot. Yeah, basically 1 GP per round.
I mean, that's an expensive way to tell someone you don't like them anymore.
Yeah. Chris Rock had a skit years and years ago where he's like, guns are so cheap. What we should do is make bullets really expensive. So you go to Kmart, $700 for a bullet. You got to really want to kill a motherfucker. So you're gonna shoot him.
Funny. Alright, so
50 bullets.
we can't know what equipment will be given.
No.
Probably a bit too risky to try and smuggle full gear sets into the city. I don't see any way that we could like securely stash them there without anybody ever finding it, or even get it past the gates. Because smuggling in the full regalia of 4 high-level adventurers without anyone
I
noticing
think we could get a few items
is
in.
quite hard. Yeah, a few items maybe, but
got
not.
like the fisherman, and since he probably has fishing boats, it'd probably be easy to get like a handful of things in. I'm thinking like holy symbols and such.
Yeah.
The spy
probably.
tells you that Zentarum have magicians, apprentice magicians, going around all over the place casting detect magic, just to find insurgents through or rich people, things to confiscate through the use of detect magic. So they're quite active with some relatively simple but also effective means of sniffing out potential rebels.
All right, then I guess we'll just gear ourselves up with just plain clothing, and that'll do. Leo, of course, being far better equipped than we are, he could probably walk in with his full plate, and nobody would ask questions.
They probably would, I probably want to know who's this
Oh, yeah,
guy
that's a good point.
that can afford 1,500 gold pieces worth of steel on his back.
In that case, maybe a suit of armor that's not so eye-catching, like splint mail or something like that. Something far more affordable and run-of-the-mill.
The average man affords splint mail.
Not really, but a professional warrior could. Because, like, you see veterans wearing splint mail.
Yeah, splints 200 and plates 1,000. True.
Yeah, it's a pretty big difference.
It's only like 1 AC difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're really shelling out for the extra AC. It's probably best that your armor isn't enchanted, so that as the wizards like wave their hands over you as we walk in, they don't immediately like raise alarm bells, so to speak.
Literally, yeah.
Hmm.
The spy wants to know what you want to do about having a factol. Like, who do you want to be your stable owner? Stable owners don't fight. That's it's
I
just as
see.
just like boxing managers don't box.
It wouldn't be that enjoyable, but it could be enjoyable. But maybe it could be Leo, because we apparently don't want to be too flashy in the arena. But I'm a level 11 wizard. I think it's kind of hard not to be flashy by accident.
Yeah, like your cantrips do 3d10 now, don't they?
But I think it would be more fun to actually have you in the fights. So we could. My suggestion would be to either ask the spy or ask maybe the spy master, the enchantress in Tevimat.
Yeah, sitting out
Go
the
ahead.
arena combat's probably not going to be much fun. It's the whole
Right,
point of it all.
exactly, an entire subplot of the game. Yeah.
Could be
It's just
several.
I can't really cast spells. Don't really have much else going on.
It's just don't fireball. I think that's pretty much the rule.
Yeah, just don't like level half the arena.
If you come and cast haste and then use cantrips, I think you'll be fine.
Do they have presumably like monsters and other creatures in the games, not just humans killing humans? Or
Yeah, that's exactly right. Again, it's completely situational. It depends on what they want to show, on who they want to win. These are basically scripted events where one person is supposed to die. Um, um, yeah, just like that. They tend not to be fair fights. Yeah.
so we want to rock the boat a little bit, just not too much.
Precisely, and once you become popular, then you can do what you want. Or if you're trying to be a villain, then you can do what you want. Think of wrestling, right? Um, everybody, the whole crowd sees them pick up the steel chair and choke the dude, but somehow the referee doesn't see it. What ref? Look, he's choking him. Every fucking tag team event ever at some stage involves the guy on the outside cheating. And
Yeah.
yeah. And you're allowed to do that, but you're not allowed to do that, right? Like this isn't World Boxing Championship rules where you make too much contact and you get disqualified. It's completely the opposite, where you get away with what you can, and if you don't, then you're probably going to die. But you could die for playing your hand too strong as well. It's
Yeah.
You just
I
don't
guess
know, do you?
If it
I've
was a
got a
tag team
feeling
match.
that if the party when the party picks up, like, I guess Fame, I guess Flightless will be like typecast as like the heel, and like Eleanor will be like the hero who has to put him down a step.
Wait, so what you're telling me is since I'm a human, I can cheat?
Yeah, that is
Be
part
more
of it.
lenient,
Yeah, absolutely. Like the crowd are going to be behind you because they identify with you.
Never have I felt more power over the rest of the party.
Yeah.
Dirty non-humans.
Although speaking of humans, my most glaring feature that isn't very human-like is probably my eyes. I wonder if there's a way that I can hide them.
Or just
Even
contact
if-
lenses.
Is this why you
Contact
changed your icon?
lenses.
You pretended to be human now?
No. But
Uh,
if I could wear, I don't know, like an eye mask that just covers the eyes, so you just see, so I can still see through it, but it hides most of my eyes. It might not be immediately obvious that I'm not human. Just a thought.
So what is Hills? I mean, I guess what is Hillsfire's like idea of like ASMR anyway? Because aren't they ASMR just powerful humans?
Well, I mean, ASMR are pretty rare. I'm not sure they have any rules regarding them, but I don't know.
I guess cultural thought would be like the main thing. Like, are they still human enough, or are they definitely like monstrous non-humans?
I'm not sure. I mean, I'd, if I had to guess, I'd say probably they'd be regarded as non-humans, like how a half-elf is probably going to be
Yeah.
regarded as
Okay.
non-human.
Yeah. You're basically right. I was lagging then, but I heard everything you said.
Because would
I
Hercules
think
be
it's
a
a case by.
non-human?
It's like a case by case basis thing. If they want them to be aliens, they're aliens. If they want them to be, superhumans, then they're superhumans.
Fair enough.
Yeah, chaotic evil, right? Like they embrace what they embrace, and woe betide the leader who doesn't read the crowd. Yeah.
Alrighty then. There's another thing I should ask is when we do eventually attain popularity and political immunity to a certain extent, how are we going to leverage that our advantage?
I suppose just try to sabotage. Like, I suppose first get a lay on like how the Zentan run things, and then try to like sabotage it in the ways we can.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. All right then, let's gear up with our very mundane gear. It's
just
probably going to be just plain clothes, and that's it.
am I swapping out my expensive magic items for cheap knockoff items?
I think that's the idea. I don't think we're going in with any magic items at all. And most of us are going in without weapons or armor either.
I guess I'll pick up some splint mail and stuff.
Whose dumb idea was this, anyways? Packing stuff away. The dwarves are going to hold on to it for us. That's the plan, I assume.
Yeah, I think our stuff will be safe in Tethiamar, surrounded by legions of dwarves, and we've got like artisan and whatnot, and Moog, or to look after it. I think of all the places we could put it, this is the safest place.
Wait. Remember, that's why I have splint. I mean, my fancy armor. I don't have enough strength to wear normal armor.
Oh yeah, because it's made of mithril, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the like the armor you can wear that your strength does allow for?
Medium armors are not. Breastplate, maybe?
I'm gonna be honest, I think a chain shirt would be the only, like a breastplate would be the only thing I can wear. But then I'd only have like 13 AC anyway wearing breastplate.
Yes. Fair. The rest of us are going to plummet in AC as well because I doubt we're going to be supplied with non-magical plate. We're probably going to get chainmail at the very most.
I mean, Flight just has 14 AC with no armor, so that's nice. Like, that might be with a
very
shield equipped.
Very nimble.
I got 10 when I got all my stuff off.
Same. I got 10 dexterity.
Bring it on.
Do you work out how much you can carry again? With variant, it's 5 times, right?
Yeah, 5 times.
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing arena fighting, right? I can just dump off absolutely everything in my inventory.
Yeah, to reduce bookkeeping, I suppose you don't have to remove it from your inventory. Just acknowledge that you don't have 99% of the stuff in there.
Have you just put the little brackets around it that removes the weight from your thing?
If you untick it,
can
it does
just
the
untick
same
it.
thing.
It does, really? Oh, wow. They've made it so much easier.
Oh, useful.
Yeah, if you untick like armor and stuff, it takes it out of your AC as well.
There is something in my inventory that weighs 0.05 weight, but somehow the name got deleted. So I don't know what it is. I'll just have to check the recording and hope I open my character sheet at some point.
A feather. A very large feather.
All right.
Oh, it's probably arrows.
It could be arrows, yeah.
One last thing I probably should mention, or like get sorted out, is the possibility of some sort of escape plan. Like, if things don't go to plan for whatever reason, and we need to get out of Dodge, probably have some sort of idea in place.
Teleportation circle.
Yeah,
Back to
I was
Teddybar.
thinking it takes 10 minutes to cast, right?
That's
What
not a very good
level
one.
is like the spike? Like
No, it takes 1 minute to cast.
Oh, it takes 1 minute to cast. Okay, so as long as we can like get somewhere where we can be uninterrupted for at least a minute, we can zip out of there.
10 rounds of combat and not being hit.
Yeah, like hopefully it doesn't come to that, but it's better than nothing.
I
Word
could
of
cast
recall.
that, but it would probably take us to Evermeet somewhere where we're going to find a temple of the elven god of the storm and winds.
You can designate any sanctuary, right? Like, could you not do it here in Teliamar?
Teliamar?
It's a location or a temple dedicated to or strongly linked to your deity, I guess.
Right.
I see. What is your deity again?
Oh, I always got to look up the name. It's like the elven god of the storms.
It's very unlikely we'll find anything like that around here.
Mithranor? There'd be one in Mithranor.
I don't think we want to, like, that'd be like get out of the frying pan into the fire.
Literally, yeah, right? Like, yeah.
That's my deity's name, Erdrifania.
I guess we'll rely on teleportation circle as a backup and just hope that we can cast it should we ever need to. And I guess Leo can carry some extra daggers on him as well for the...
Oh, I'm playing with my encumbrance here like candy. I don't think I could really afford to carry. I'm juggling leaving my spellbook behind in order to be actually able to carry my
Whoa.
armor.
Oh wow, is
That's
it that
hilarious.
bad? Jesus.
I can carry 70 weight.
That's what I'm thinking. If we take,
Splint weighs 70.
if we're taking out Enchantress to be like a pretend like owner, she can have all our spell books.
Splint weighs 16. I can carry 70 weight on me.
Alright, then I guess the Enchantress can carry
That is because I'm
Yeah,
trying to
okay.
find her sheet. See what level is she, Arctic?
The Enchantress, I think level 9, I think. She can cast 5th level spells, can't she?
I believe so. Oh, it's because I was trying to remember what her name was.
Yeah, pretty sure it's level 9. Yeah, 5th level spells.
Alright, well we can entrust our holy symbols and spell books to her then.
That is if she accepts the task.
Yeah, if she accepts. I mean, she's on a pretty amazing payroll. But she might say no.
So it's like that. Miss Enchantress, we have a task for you to accompany us to Hillsfar, like if you are able.
I thought you'd never ask, she says.
Right, she seems to be eager.
Do you think I could get away with mithril splint armor, or do you think it's still too fancy?
We'd probably turn some heads, but I don't know.
You might be able to get away with a mithril chain shirt because people can't see it, like Bilbo Baggins. But mithril's, it's the very definition of bling.
It's like rolling in like a gold-plated car or something. It's gonna turn heads.
But could you like mask it? Like make a breastplate but then put like leather over it?
But there is an option. There is one option. There's a spell called Nistel's Magical Aura that suppresses magical auras, or does it? It either makes them or suppresses them. Maybe it does both.
I think it does both.
That's a risky proposition. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to help you, but it's an idea.
The possibility, even if you buy some fancy armor, that you might have to take it off anyway to better fit with the theme of whatever the game is. To keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. If we're all playing, the pilgrims who walk the road with sackcloths, then there'll be no splint armor anyway.
Yeah, I'd probably just go with a cheap chain shirt, just a mundane one, something like that. Or you can just cast mage armor, assuming you have it.
I actually don't have mage armor because I was planning on wearing heavy armor.
It's fine.
The enchantress will let you copy that from her spellbook.
Nice. I'd probably be a little confused as well. Like, what? You need to copy mage armor of all things? Although I can see the benefit as well of not letting on that you're a spellcaster right away. So it's up to you.
And I suppose having your holy symbol is like one of those privileges we'll have to earn. And I'm happy because Flightless's spells are pretty hidden. Like Bless, it probably doesn't look like much.
No, probably not. And it's only a first level spell, so if there's any wizards in the audience, they'd only see that, oh, he's only casting first level spell.
Stupid bird has took the magic initiate feat.
Right, so I'll just add to my inventory banal apparel to represent my very very normal clothing.
I have two things in my inventory at the moment. I ticked on, I mean. clothing,
What's that?
dagger.
I don't think we'd even be allowed daggers. Unless, I'm not sure. Maybe if Human Master says it's okay, we might be able to carry weapons.
Okay, I will
I'll
take.
keep the flint shurikens in case they just don't even take them off me.
Sure.
I'll go with half plate just to be easier.
Sure.
Alright.
I like to think as soon as we step outside, we get ambushed by Zentaro and murdered.
Indeed. But because they're like challenge rating 3, we slaughter them, and then they have to send more waves, and we slaughter them, and we spend the next 2 weeks in a battle against 72 enemies, each with 14 hit points.
Just
All right.
keep them off. Just got to keep them off Leo or the Enchantress while they cast teleportation circle for 10 rounds.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty interesting encounter. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, with that we head off.
All right. So we are ready now.
I suppose one
Actually,
thing.
just had one more question.
Yeah,
'Cause we were
please,
talking-
please.
We were talking about it in the Discord for a little bit. I was wondering about the component pouch, because you mentioned that you hadn't thought about it, and I was wondering, can I take that, or do I have to work out the actual components? Because I've never done that before.
The
It wouldn't be hard,
Enchantress. The Enchantress will give you like a magic ring that, not a magic ring, but it's a spell component ring. Basically works like a wand or a crystal ball or a staff or something. And as long as you have this this ring on, then it will serve as a spell focus.
Yeah, that's a
The
lot
ring's
easier
small
than
enough
trying
to
to
hide in
sneak.
your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. Or in
Ooh.
any other orifice.
How about a
Yeah.
false tooth arcane focus?
A false tooth arcane focus is good. We'll go with that. Yeah, no worries.
Do you have a tooth to replace?
Just rip one out.
Brutal. You can always cast, restoration and get it back.
Yeah, regenerate, I think it is, to restore body
Yeah,
parts.
it's pretty high level spell to get one tooth. Yeah, so, but it's an option.
Are we leaving the important stuff like spellbooks with the owner?
Yeah, I think so.
Just
Can
in
wizards
case-
cast spells without spellbooks? This will be the first time
believe
I've
they
played a
can.
wizard.
Yeah, they just
Yeah, they
can't
can.
change spells without spell books.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if they could like cast at all. I didn't know, but thank you.
Yeah, you can't readjust your spell list. Whatever you last remembered is what you're stuck with.
And if I'm attuned to an item that doesn't need to be on you to like work, can I still benefit from that or no?
Depends. Generally, yes. Like it'll almost always say that you have to have it on if you have to have it on. Yeah.
Okay, like that that dancing blade I just got. Will I still get the plus damage to the spells? The
Oh
cantrips and
yeah,
stuff?
yes you will. Yeah, yes you will. Even if it's not carrying it. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah. Yeah.
So
One of the
check my
wizards who
magic
knows how the spell works in the audience jumps up and shouts he added a dice, he's cheating.
Yeah, there you go. It's just got the blood of the storm. That's all. Sit down. There's nothing to see here.
My DM allowed me to homebrew the spell.
DM's
Indeed.
good.
Excellent.
Okay, yeah, that's all the questions I had.
Very good.
Weird
So
wizard
how are we
things.
getting? How are we getting in there? We are crossing. Are we taking a caravan to get there and then slipping over the walls? Are we going in through the saber-toothed tiger tunnels we've heard about? Are we teleporting in there somehow? How are we getting into Hills? How do we liaise with the Enchantress? Does she lead us in on chains?
Well,
Do we go pretend to be merchants?
But about the Enchantress, I suppose before we go in, just to make her fit in more, get an outfit that matches the Hillsfar style.
yeah, some
Yeah.
Hillsfar fashion.
Yeah, it's like she's still she's obviously an outsider, but I'm doing the effort to fit in.
Oh yeah, sure.
She walks through the
All
city
right.
with a human, a half-elf, a kenku, and a golden-eyed human following behind.
Greetings, fellow human supremacists.
Yeah, but I mean, they're all in chains, so I suppose.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do we need to be manacled, or can we walk freely if
I think it's one of
owner
those
says
things
it's
that's
fine,
like up
okay?
to the owner, maybe. Whereas like if you cause,
Since she's
like
a
if they
Exactly.
break something, she'll have to pay for it.
yeah, since she's a powerful spellcaster, she could like say that we're under the effect of a Gias or something like that, and that if we tried to obey her orders, we'd get mind zapped.
She says that's possible, but what she would really like if you're all wearing collars and have leather leads, and she's holding each of you like warhounds, and you walk through bare chested with not the girl, but the men walk through bare chested, covered in glistening oil. That's what she thinks we should do.
This
That's
is the
what
company you're choosing to be the leader.
if that's what people do with their slaves.
Give a stern look to Flightless, like really.
I'm gonna pluck the kenku.
He just shrugs.
He's just like a fucking bear chicken underneath. Don't kink shame, okay? So perhaps
Enchantress
so
saw her opportunity and she took it. Like you can't fault.
she liked it, but the more she thinks about it, the worse it gets. And so
I'm
let's
giving
think of
her
a plausible reason. Yep.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm giving her a very judgmental stare, a very kink shamey stare.
She gets very nervous. So let's she wants to think practically here. If we look at our racial composition, what is a likely story for us? Who are we? What do you guys do? Why are we in Hillsfar? Like, what's our cover story going to be? Who am I? Who is she?
I suppose the Enchantress is. I suppose it's a traveling, I guess, gladiatorial like troupe. The variation comes from the amount of distance she's travelled and the various
So
people she's picked up.
You're already like champions in some lesser arena, and now you've come to Hollywood.
Yeah, that works. I was going to suggest, because I think she was down in Serpent Bridge for some time, so she could claim to have bought us in Serpent Bridge and taken us up here.
Sure.
But the other one works better.
I suppose the truth, I mean, something that mirrors the truth would be more believable. So like she's
might also, yeah.
Like what is she, Cormyrean?
I think she is. Yeah.
Like she's a Cormyrean who moved up to Serpent Bridge, like after after she like lost her ties in Cormyr due to some like trouble. So then she spent the last of her money buying these like mercenaries to try her luck in the Hillsfar arena, which she heard like the rulers have just recently been relaxed.
And that could justify why you're wearing half plate, for example. Might be a reason why one of us has actual armor on.
Yeah, and Leo might not be classed as a slave. He might just be like a friend, or he just wants to throw his hat into the ring.
Bodyguard, mercenary, whatever.
I was thinking the prize slave because I'm like a magical slave and I'm a human, so I could be like the best slave.
Excellent.
The basket she put more eggs in than the others.
Her favorite slave.
Yeah, he's a human, so naturally I invested more into him.
Indeed. Oh no, he doesn't sleep in the stables. Wink, wink.
Ready? I think we're good to go. I think we've made our plans and we're good. I'm assuming we can't carry weapons of any description.
No, but she can ship them in.
Alrighty then.
Yeah, I guess she guesses. She's trying to. It's her life on the line as well, of course. So if shit goes sideways, she'll end up in the arena like everyone else. Anyway,
I'll just ask if she can carry. Let's see, 3 daggers.
Oh, daggers are fine. Daggers are a tool as much as a weapon. So to not carry a dagger would be to not cut my meat.
So worst case scenario, we'd be able to hand out a dagger to Flightless, Sildarin, and myself, so that we aren't completely helpless. At least we can use
Yeah.
our class features once we actually have a weapon.
Huh. Indeed. All right. It's a final mundane question, but how are we getting there? Are we taking a wagon or something, and
I think we can take a
are we
wagon.
teleporting in? Yeah.
I think we could take a wagon. Like, we are like significantly underpowered without our equipment, but if we get jumped by like goblins or bandits, we're still gonna deal with them with little issue.
Yeah. All right. So, final question, I suppose. Where are we leaving our stuff? Tethymar, Dagger Falls.
I think Tethymar is probably the most ideal location to leave it.
There's a teleportation
makes
circle
sense.
in Dagger Falls. Sorry. Yeah. Good point. Do we just teleport straight across to Dagger Falls? Can we do that? Do we have that capability?
When you learn the teleportation circle spell, I think you learn like around 3 locations, as long as they're within reason for you to know. To check the wording of the spell.
Whose spell is it?
It's Leo's spell. Let's see.
So Leo, you want let's work out where your teleportation circles are. Tethymar, one of them. Where else?
When you
Dagger
first gain the
Falls?
ability to cast this, you
Formia?
learn 2 destinations. So one determined by the DM, it says.
I'll
Makes
let you decide. Well, one will be Tethymar. Would the other one be in Cormia, Leo, or somewhere else?
I mean, if I get to choose, I'm pretty sure I'd put one in Cormia.
Makes
Just
sense,
like
right?
a
in case I need to
tower?
return in a rush.
Exactly. Yeah.
We could
There,
stop in
any number of
Dagger's Ford
reasons.
on the way to Hillsfire, and then I can try and memorize that one if they let me.
Good
Yeah,
point.
makes sense.
Yeah, good idea.
Also, I should
Alright.
probably make sure we have the material component for the spell.
I have one casting of it.
Oh
I
yeah.
want to grab like 2 or 3 more, just in case.
Yeah, I can do that.
Sure. The Enchantress would want that failsafe built in, so that's wise.
I can grab with my
Okay.
remaining gold 6 more, so I'll have 7 castings of it.
Huge
That'll do.
amounts. Okay.
All right.
Across
I
the
think we can be
mountains
on
we
the way.
go. Eleanor, roll a d100 as we cross the mountains, relatively poorly equipped.
Ancient Dragon.
Ancient Dragon. 59. He doesn't bother you because you don't have any magic items. That's not worth his time. Okay.
Just flies over us to pillage Tethymar.
Exactly right.
Takes all our magic items. Damn it.
That's it. Okay.
Oh, I
got a
need
message.
to adjust my HP value because I lost a magic item which adjusts my constitution. So I need to edit that.
Yeah, my landlord's just talking to me, so I'll just quickly reply.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll have a few more interruptions, but gosh, I'm pretty sure you're used to Arctic interruptions by now. We haven't traveled very far along the mountain range yet. The mountain range is about 50, 70 maybe miles wide. But because it's a switchback, forward, up, down, left, right, and all over the place, you follow the mountain's edge. You end up wandering much more than 50 or 75 miles because that's 50 or 75 miles as the crow flies. And the switchback makes this 3 times as far, maybe. So it's pretty far. We haven't traveled very far across this mountain range. We're still very much on the Anarok side of things. You can still see the Anarok Desert to the west and the border forest to the north, and you can't see the Dales to the east. We haven't reached the pinnacle of the range yet. When crash, a boulder smashes down on the path in front of us, which is about 20 to 30 feet wide. That's about how wide the mountain ledge is that we and anyone else that we might encounter will wander upon. And up above us, maybe 150 feet or so up above us, there is a really big dude. He's about 12, 14 feet tall. He's obese, and he wears an enormous steel bucket over his head. He's cut the eyes out of it, kind of like Ned Kelly, I guess. Anyway, he's got this bucket on his head, a big metal bucket. He can see out of it just barely, and he's picking up rocks and hurling them down at us from an elevated position. Crash! Rubble goes everywhere. And he bellows down upon us in the giant tongue, "Tribute!" Can anyone speak giant?
The Darren can, I think.
Tribute!
I can't.
Pay tribute! Or excellent. Or die!
You wish to pay us tribute before you die?
No! Did I say that? Did I say that? No, that's not what I said. You pay me the tribute. You make offering to Cyric or die.
Yeah, I can't understand giant, but I think I'd make out the word Cyric.
You can.
And immediately feel like, my expression darkens.
Oh, Cyric, like the deity, not right. Missed that.
Yeah,
He's
the
not
god
saying
of
his
death,
name's Cyric.
or the god of murder,
No.
rather. I wonder if Cyric would be happy knowing that one of his worshippers is extorting people and not murdering them.
Well, we don't have anything to give him as tribute, so he's probably going to try and murder us here shortly. I have nothing for you or your foul god.
Then make a sacrifice. Make blood sacrifice. Pick one of you who die, and everyone kill that one.
Just look at everyone else.
Which one of you should die?
Sildren's like, who's it gonna be?
We
How
How about how far?
Like everyone in the
how
party turns to
elevated?
look at like Flightless at once.
Everybody looks at Flightless.
How elevated is this rather large fellow?
It's about 100, 120 feet above us, and gravity is naturally on his side.
Is he directly above us, or like, no point in trying to do Pythagoras? 120 feet is fine.
Exactly, yeah. No, so he's not directly above us. He's in front of us. So if we were to keep going along, then we would be in the path of his rocks that he's rolling down the mountain. Yeah.
I guess I'll ask.
Come down here
the
and we
lead-
can send you to meet your
No!
god.
I come down there after the sacrifice and the treasure. Then I come down.
How wide is the mountain?
20 foot or 30 foot wide, you give or take, is how wide the ledge is. If you have you ever seen like pictures of fucking buses going over the Himalayas and there's like fucking 20 Indians hanging onto the bus and then it goes over the edge like that? That's what this terrain is like. And so it's about 20 to 30 feet wide, sometimes narrower, sometimes broader. So not very wide at all. Not very wide.
How long would we have to go to get out of his range of like just walking past him?
Oh, that's difficult to say. You wouldn't know it, but their range is 60 foot short, 240 foot long. Several rounds, roughly a minute, give or take. Probably less than 10 rounds it would take.
I had a sort of idea if this was like, could I like cast Wall of Force in a way that aligns it along the side of the mountain, so any rocks that roll down would just stop there and we could just walk under the Wall of Force for the 100 meters that it covers?
Absolutely. Let's say yes. I don't know if it'll actually work. Doesn't matter. It's a great idea. And so you create like an invisible barrier and try as he might to rock you, you are protected by this application of kinetic energy.
Just keep going as he hurls obscenities at us and Giant.
He gets very upset and he ends up pulling his bucket off his head and chucking it at you. That's how mad you've made him. I hope you feel bad.
I mean, I get a free bucket.
Shame it's got holes in it. All right.
Might be the only armor we have once we get in the ring.
I know if it's big enough for
Precisely.
his head, it's probably big enough to wear his actual armor.
I think it's like a rodeo clown barrel, right? Like this is perfect for the arena. Kids are gonna love it. Okay. Carrick, a D100, please. All right, that's got to be a dragon, right?
Has to be twice.
I'll roll again, D100. Could be. D100 all over again.
39.
All right. D9. All right. You find yourself traveling through an area where all of your magic suddenly fails. It doesn't really affect us so much, though, does it? Because we don't have magic items. So, and there's no reason for us to cast any spells. You just feel a disconnect to the weave. Behind the scenes, the second roll was to see, like in this one, you roll and you find a dead magic zone. Then you roll again to see what happens in the dead magic zone. But we've already had 39. It's an encounter we've already had. So this is basically no encounter. Is there anything that you want to do in a dead magic zone? Does it help in any way? Any curses that might be suppressed, or any discussions you might want to make, knowing that people for the first time in your career are not scrying upon you? Anything like that?
I suppose it's unlikely to have done anything, but the Kenku curses, did it do anything with those?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't get any worse. You don't get any more Kenku.
And I suppose with the curses, like, since losing his spellbook, he's trying to hide it, but it is pretty clearly hard that he can't speak to the party like normally anymore.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Like,
you
again,
suddenly
he's like lost his telepathy.
yeah. Wait a minute.
imagine-
Telepathy, is it you get telepathy from the feet?
What is it? It's from the ritual caster. Because I cast telepathic bond.
Oh, it's a telepathic bond. Yeah, no, just sorry to interrupt. Yeah, so that doesn't work. It's a spell. It definitely
Yeah, but I mean,
telepathy bond.
But I mean, because we're trying to do the guys as slaves, so like, for the trip he hasn't had it either.
Yeah, I imagine
point.
Flightless has gotten pretty used to using that, and
Like a
guess,
few
like, having
times,
his
like he
tongue
just
cut
looks
out.
at you, and
Yeah.
then just sort of like gets a bit sad and looks away.
Huh.
Because it's like he
Makes sense.
like thought something at you. He's like, oh wait, they can't hear that.
Sad Kenku noises could be just about anything, couldn't it?
Should never go full Kenku.
Huh. All right. Leo, a D100, please. 33. Okay, I'll see if you know this person. Yeah, cool. Okay, so someone we've already met, so it's no encounter, and Sildarin, D100. $41. Now, because we're fighting beholders and exploring through underdark ruins and engaging in coups, it can sometimes distance you from the common man. There's an elitism that will creep into being a genuine hero, that is somewhat unavoidable. Some people don't care. The arrogance becomes part of the job, and you don't care if you alienate the common man. And for other people, losing touch with their roots is something that they are loath to do. We go over the top of the mountain range and we start coming back down the other side, switch back, switch back, switch back, switch back. And the Anarok Desert can no longer be seen to the west. The border forest still goes off towards the north, but the Dales now lies in the east. And it's an unusually bright couple of sunny days that we find ourselves traveling through the mountain range. The weather is quite good. We get an enormous, there's this view that just goes on forever. You can practically see Shadowdale from where you are. Anyway, there's a sense of normality that falls over you as you see the farms and the homesteads and the houses and the people doing normal people things. And we come across a group of dwarves, 3 dwarves, all males, and they're not bandits and they're not necromancers and they're not probably not demigods in disguise. They're just 3 guys who call out to you from an elevated position, much like the last giant. They're roughly maybe 60 to 80 feet above us on a terrace above the main road, where they've carved out a little existence for themselves, a few tents, a few barrels, and it looks like they have a little mining camp there. Oh, you! Hey, you! Are you merchants?
Because he'll wave and shout like, "Greetings!" in Dalvash's voice that you probably haven't heard in a few weeks.
Oh, a talking bird! How bizarre!
No, friend, I'm afraid we are not merchants, unfortunately.
But we are friends, are we?
Are you asking for our aid?
Well, yes, actually. Your aid or your trade. You see, our camp has run dry. And, well, we'd like to stay up here. My brothers and I would like to stay up here without returning to town, but we don't really see an option. See, we're out of beer. No beer, no rum, no whiskey, no wine. And, well, we can't continue work as it is. Oh, we're just hoping against hope that someone would come along, that a wine merchant would come along, or a brewer. 50 miles walk for a beer is too much.
I suppose anybody has
the ultimate
brewer's
conundrum.
supplies.
Ultimate conundrum. How do we work without beer?
What
No, I
problem?
do not have any of those. I don't have anything on the site.
No copious amounts of alcohol.
Sorry to
No.
disappoint you, but we lack any alcohol at all, unfortunately.
You create food and liquor spell.
Great food and liquor. They grumble for a while. Well, they got to do something about it. Well, we're going to have to go back to town, aren't we? Well, let's go now.
Actually,
Would you?
We have 4 barrels of ale in the party.
Yep.
Are we carrying
Do
them
we?
with us there? Like, that's a good, I don't think we actually said, like, what are we taking with us on the trip to Hillsfar?
Probably leaving it
Like,
all in Telemar, I guess. But it's
Not
up to
I
you.
don't
much.
think we'd
Anything
take
I
our whole
wouldn't take.
party inventory, would we?
I mean, we'd take like generic things to make her look like a master. So we could have brought ale to be like, she's rich and wealthy and has 4 crates of ale for some reason.
Sure.
Why do we have 4 crates of ale in the inventory?
No, we
Where's
actually
that
have
from?
quite a bit of alcohol. We have
Yeah,
2
it's just
barrels
a
of
question of
dwarven
whether-
holy spirits, 4 barrels of ale,
just-
and 2 barrels of expensive ale.
It's just a question of whether we actually took it with us or not.
All right.
It's
Well,
pretty
listen.
mundane,
It's
so probably.
Well, I
Like,
think
I
we'll
could see
need
us
food
taking
and
it.
water. And one thing we did take is the mythal case because it's got all my scrolls in it and it's got all my maps in it.
All right. If we do have
all right.
alcohol on us, then I'll just
Oh,
reiterate what I said. Except that we do
hooray!
have alcohol.
Like you said, no.
Whatever.
And Flightless passed you like the stock sheet and pointed at 4 barrels of ale.
All right. They will give you double its value in raw silver ore. I don't know what it's worth. If you guys do, they pay twice the amount for it.
I think we can afford to part with it without payment. Looking to the rest of the party, knowing that we're secretly like millionaires, basically.
Actually, he'll like nod and just start taking them out and place them on the floor.
I suppose not the expensive ale, or at least the Holy Spirits. I suppose just the normal
4
one.
barrels of ale, they can have that.
Yeah, I think we'll just. Yeah, I think we'll just give them like standard ale, and we'll give them it without payment. I think. As a gesture of like, hey, you like alcohol? Take it.
Ah, truly you are our friends, they remark.
Yes, I hope this allows you to resume your work with all haste.
Say, did you hear rumors of a band of dwarves on the far traveling through Anarok? Don't say Tethiamar. No, I didn't. You said it. Just a band of dwarves that might be in the desert for no particular reason.
We might have heard rumors.
Pray tell. Perhaps they are our cousins.
Tethiamar has been taken. It is once again in the hands of your kin.
The legends are true. Then why are we waiting here for? What's silver when we could be mining mithril? Hi, brother. And now they've got enough alcohol to get them there. So these 3 dwarves are going to head off to Tethiamar to join the new society.
Nice. A band of miners for Tethiamar.
We will enact our like hidden plan. Like with Tethiamar now under dwarven control, all the dwarves in the region will flock there for us to seal the doors and get rid of them all.
Dwarven extinction plan.
This is the final solution to the dwarven problem.
That's right. It's all in the name of diversity. There's too many elves, dwarves, and halflings in the world. We need more of the other races.
They're stealing all the smithing work, and all the other races don't like it.
Oh man, that's right. Like, how am I supposed to compete with dwarven quality? This should be illegal.
Yeah, they just work harder, faster, and better. Like, how do I compete with that?
Right? That's it's unfair. Unfair.
Need the gods made them that way tax.
So we reach Dagger Falls. We go past Brightblade Tombs. Did we ever go to Brightblade Tombs?
I don't think so.
I don't think we ever did.
No, I don't think we did.
One of the more common early low-level quests, but we never made
Still
it there.
in our quest log.
So we can go past. Yeah, we could do that if we want.
We'll go that level 20.
Yeah. Speed run the yeah, do a speed run. So yeah, we go past Brightblade Tombs, and at last we reach Dagger Falls. Is there anything that we wish to do here?
I think Leo wanted to memorize the circle here, if they'll let him.
Ah, good point. Right. All right. So there's officially no circle here. But our return is something of a homecoming. And people are excited to see us. They ask us what happened to our rabbit, what happened to our robot, what happened to our Moog.
It's a long story.
Indeed. Oh wow. There's so much in this. There's so much in this town that we never actually did. Okay. You find yourself in a an unusual tavern. It's elven themed, and it's a bit of a pay what you want type establishment. Some of the clientele include a woman with cat ears and a tail, and her friend, a silent Bedine assassin, who is apparently mute, and always heavily armed. Uh, they make some inquiries about the Desert Mouth Mountains. They ask if you happen to clear out a castle while you were up there, and when you reply that you didn't, they're pretty disappointed because she has a castle up in the mountains, but nobody's willing to go up there and clear the monsters out of the castle for her. It leaves her really kind of despondent, and she doesn't want to do it herself. She wants someone else to do it for her, so she's kind of a bit upset about that. Anyway, she introduces you to an ancient elf who lives here by the name of Yulani, and um, the cat girl just asks straight up if you guys are heading to Mithranor.
We aren't, unfortunately. We're headed east.
The ancient elf wishes to know why.
Personal reasons. I'm afraid I cannot speak more on it.
Then she understands. Um, uh, I know you only by reputation and not personally, so I appreciate that we cannot yet trust each other.
Nod understandingly.
All right, and we do not learn the teleportation circle because we are not able to establish a level of trust. All right.
Damn paladins. Everyone knows you shouldn't trust them when it comes to the social the social side of things.
It's far too honest.
And I guess Flightless will
Okay.
make sure Joloro isn't making a mess of the store. Like, see if he's actually keeping his cover.
Yeah, good call.
So I suppose do like a hidden shop, but like get like someone from the town to go into the store and try to buy something.
You're gonna do a Secret Santa or whatever it's called, like the.
Yeah, just try to
Oh,
get
yeah, I know what
someone
you mean.
not. Actually, he'll grab because we've got a few like he'll grab his what's it called, the hat of disguises and try to buy something. So, see how Joloro's holding up his like cover.
All right. What sort of stuff does he have to sell here, though?
The cartographer, because remember we bought Blight Blades, cartography and calligraphy, so it'd be mostly papers.
Yeah. So just the old stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But like his job is basically to sell stuff and then buy like getting more stuff.
He's rude. He's incompetent. It's messy in here. He's late. He hasn't shaven. He probably comes out in his underwear. Yeah. He clearly doesn't want this custom.
Yeah. He clearly did come from the robe of useless things.
Evidently.
Everyone's probably just like, that Flightless guy's pretty good, but he can't run a store.
Yeah.
So let's go to Eleanor with this issue. See if she has any like solutions. I'm not.
We have a shit employee, Eleanor. What are we gonna do about it?
Why do you even keep him on the payroll? If he's incompetent, why not replace him?
I suppose the light down's like good supplies are hard to find. Like not many people are willing to sell their work like that.
Suppose you're right. Well, what do you want to do about him?
So what do people typically do with like workers that don't work?
throw them into the arena, I'm pretty sure.
Typically
Squish
fire
them in
them.
that pit.
And
Typically
the
fire
jam pit.
them, but if you aren't willing to fire him because his services are sorely needed, you could perhaps threaten to do so. The insincere threat might be enough to convince him.
So try to work up enough anger, and then use some of like the angrier like voice lines he has from his time with the Drow to like try to get him into doing some like a better job of keeping up his disguise.
Sure, make an intimidate check. How do you
17.
say anything when you're disguised though? Since I guess it doesn't give you
I suppose he takes
voice, does it?
But I mean, after the interaction, he'll like take off the hat and be like, "What are you doing?"
Gotcha.
And he complains that that here you are harassing him on his day off. He comes into work on his day off, working for nothing, doing overtime, unpaid overtime, and you have the gall to criticize him. He's frankly he's shocked.
And I guess I'll just pull out the open, like, open this time to this time, and just point that the shop should be open now.
Well, yes, but
Just shakes his head, just points at it again.
well, you see, as the manager, I have had to adapt to the circumstances. And, well, today is actually my annual leave. But here I am, anyway, working on a holy day, no less. A holy day to, well, one of the halfling gods. You wouldn't have heard of him. But here I am anyway.
He could have
But
said
it's okay.
any word,
I don't.
that would have been true. Because I think he probably gets paid more than most of the people in this village, doesn't he?
Yeah, probably.
He gets
Or is
90
it like
gold
60
a month.
gold? Yeah, I think that's like, yeah, that's a lot for compared to the common man.
I suppose the difference, like, what?
Yeah.
I just go with like, I thought you wanted to be a spy. Like, is that what you think a spy would look like?
A spy. Okay. I've got some spy news for you. The Temple of Lathander has begun excavating the floor. They're making renovations, you see. Uh-huh. You heard it first.
I suppose this is a piece of information you did not have when you came in, so I guess technically that counts as information.
That's right. What else?
He'll look around the store and probably find like the list of his tasks in the bin or something, and just like point at them.
Yeah.
I guess he'll test his Drow sign language and thieves' cant.
It's not bad. It's not terrible. He mostly knows the swear words.
But he can like do a like danger, Drow nearby, stuff like that.
That's right. That's right. How much for a beer? Things like.
So I suppose at least we could end with like a positive that he actually did a third of his job.
Sure. In regarding the Drow, oh, okay, got a message. Okay, cool. Yeah, in regarding the Drow, he thinks that they seem to be focused on a place to the east of here. What's it called? Asherban Ford. There's a dale once you get past Shadowdale, the next dale along is having trouble with the drow, and the next dale beyond that is having trouble with the drow as well. So things are pretty quiet around here recently. But the drow activity has reached the point where it's the single most important issue facing the dales to the east of Shadowdale. Apparently, they've taken over a dungeon or a temple or something there, and are plundering all of the treasures from the Temple of Tempest. That's right, the god of war. How ironic, he says, that the god of war has lost control of his own temple, and the drow are beating the god of war in a fight. It's hilarious. Or it would be. It would be. No, it's not hilarious, but it would be if it weren't so serious. He correct. Still hilarious. Zentarum. He tells you that Hillsfire has fallen to Zentarum. But strangely enough, they haven't increased their forces in Teshwave or Voonla. Indeed, there's now an enormous force occupying Hillsfar. 1 in every 4 people is a Zentarum soldier, apparently.
Yeah, that's actually good information. So I suppose he'll take that to Eleanor, but before he leaves, he'll update the task sheet and pin it up somewhere in the back room.
Yeah, that's better. That's better. And he stands there studying it, nodding sagely.
I like the new
So, good
the new ones, 4 and 5.
So I think there was also meant to be like a shrine to Seamorph in the back of here somewhere.
Oh, is there? I forgot about that. Yeah, I'll definitely go check on it.
Flightless, I suppose Eleanor would be particularly upset if that was dirty.
He's been drinking out of the font.
Well, alcohol.
Yeah. He just keeps it topped up with beer or wine or mead or something, and that way he can just dunk his cup in there at any time, pick out the bugs, and have a beer.
All right, well, I'll pick up one of the cups that are probably lying around nearby. Fill it up from the font with the alcohol, then walk back to the storefront and throw the filled cup all over him. Say, what do you think you're doing?
Wearing pants?
Filling the font of a god with alcohol.
It's cultural misunderstanding. You see, he thought it was a dwarven god, and the dwarven god would want him to do that. It's just
it is most
clerical
not
error.
A dwarven god.
Clerical error. Clerical error, everybody. What? Tough crowd. Sorry.
I don't believe that's true. You can't even walk into the storefront wearing trousers.
Well, I will now.
You're being paid a rather respectable amount of money. There are countless people who would pay for a job as easy as yours.
Really? So, like, they'd pay me to work here, and I'd still get a wage?
Pinch the bridge of my nose. Yeah. And then look at Flightless with the kind of look that says, "You really can't replace him."
It's like, I'm gonna say he signs. He has 3 days, and then remembers you can't understand that because we probably don't have the time to replace him at this moment.
Ensure the font is filled with water.
Oh, right.
It really is that simple.
Non-alcoholic water. All right. That's where the confusion came from.
Yes. Ensure it is clean. It is not difficult.
I'll get right on that. I'll hire
See to it
someone.
that
Get right on it.
it is your job to do it.
Yeah. As the manager, I will make sure it gets done.
See to it that you do. I'll be most displeased if I return and find it in a similar state again.
Of course, man. Of course, man. And he looks over at Flightless and does his best silent Eleanor impression, thinking he's going to get a laugh out of Flightless.
It just shakes his
My
head.
visitors are here. I'll go on mute.
Alrighty.
Jolo the best.
Robe of useless items, indeed.
If you ask around, everyone in the town probably knows he's a spy. Because I can imagine he'd get drunk in the pubs like, I'm a spy.
I'm a
spy.
I'm James Bond.
Hey, that's right. I got a license to kill, ladies. All right. Need any potions? The Temple of Lathander will make a donation if you want any.
Yeah, and I guess White was also
Ironic
passed
that-
on the information that he learned about Hillsfire and the temple.
Indeed.
Interesting. I was thinking, I thought of one way that we could like damage Hillsfire as well.
What's that?
If I prayed and don't cast spells to begin with in the arena, and then we get known, because then technically I'll be able to go wherever I want. I could just start sneaking up to training camps and like casting really devastating spells to kill as many combatants as I can before leaving. Like with like greater invisibility, just turn up, blast a bunch of people with greater invisibility, and then like leave.
Oh, like
So you're like the guy who goes around kicking people's sandcastles over at the beach and then walking off?
Yeah,
So I
because
guess,
you know
like,
how they
if
train?
you
They'd like train in like a blob of people. Or like all the recruits turn
Yeah,
up and just blast a cone
absolutely.
of cold onto a bunch of recruits. Well, greater invisibility, and then leave.
Call that terrorism. Yeah, absolutely. No, that's absolutely cool. Yeah, that's really what I want this sort of campaign at this level to be. Coming up with ideas like that, where
So could I borrow some money from the party to like get greater invisibility? I didn't pick that up as a wizard's spell. I didn't think I'd be.
Yeah, how much do you need?
I thought I'd more be on the front line. I didn't really think I'd be sneaking behind people, invisible, killing people.
good call.
The current
Murdering
treasury has
people in badges.
$1,700 in.
Greater invisibility is a 4th level spell, so that's actually pretty cheap, to be honest. Just I spent all my money on making sure that I can teleport.
Alrighty.
And we do have money in party fund if you want to take that as well.
I would need to borrow 320, about 520 gold from the party fund.
Is that with the price of like describing it as us?
Yeah, that's the price of putting it into the spellbook as well.
Is it really that cheap?
It's 50 per spell level, and it's only a 4th level
I'll
spell
pay you to buy
slot.
the scroll as well.
Yeah, I checked on Sane Magic items. It only costs 320 for a level 4 scroll.
Okay, I'll take
That's cool.
500 and what?
520. We'll get rid of banishment. Sweet. Oh, and we'll have to spend a day in this town so I could copy it in. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives me a chance to come back tomorrow morning and see whether the shrine is clean or not.
Yeah.
Is there anything Sildarn
Alright.
would want to do here? If I remember rightly, this is where Sildarn first appeared.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, good point.
I think you have some like acquaintance with the proprietor of Westgate Wagons, if I remember rightly. I think she hired you.
I had to smuggle those elven weapons.
Oh
If
yeah.
there's anything you want to do, then by all means.
I like to think that Jolo is just going to hire like 6 skilled people because he's still going to get like 50 gold a month. if he does that.
And fire 3 of them.
Better than it not getting done at all, I suppose.
When the ancient elf Yulani, who we were talking to earlier, finds out that there's another elf here, or a Feywild worshipper of an obscure god, she's interested in talking to you. Just the two of you, Sildarin, if you'd like to indulge her.
I certainly can. That is an ancient elf.
She's pretty old, right? She wants to know what you're doing here.
Is this the woman you were lying to before?
I didn't lie. I just didn't tell her what we were doing.
This is the woman you stonewalled before.
It is, yeah.
Just passing through.
You don't need to be coy with me, she tells you. Perhaps we can help each other.
Continuing our fight against the Zentarum.
Why the Zentarum? Would more not be gained if Mithranor were to be taken? Let the people fight among themselves. A much more important prize would be to resurrect the greatest city that ever was than to protect an insignificant village like this.
Me by myself.
No, of course not by yourself, but every hand helps. There are so few of us, so few elves that are left. And yet those of us who do remain, many of us have significant wells of power. If we could pool these wells, then anything would be possible. I truly believe that Mithranor will rise again, but it will only happen if we all work together towards this lofty goal. Will you not join us?
Oh, well, if you are truly planning on mounting some expedition to the Lost City, I indeed might be interested at the right time, but
Very good.
not at this moment.
Well, I'm sure that you will find the right time, but when you do, the reclamation has already begun. We have thus far only secured one small sector of the city, but if you are to travel to Mithranor, then there are two ways of entering. You might go in through the northwest, find the northwestmost sector of the city, and as quickly as you are able, make it towards a large wooden building all by itself out in the grassland called the Tavern, the Planar Tavern, formerly the Exchequery of Interplanar Trade. It is it was an area where teleportation between planes was once very common, and for the moment it remains the only stronghold of we, the traditional owners of Mithranor. Of course, there is an even easier way. If you have anyone who is able to use teleportation circles.
I might know of somebody able to do so.
Well, should you take that person into the planar the tavern of the planar tavern, formerly the exchequery of interplanar trade. Should you take this person into the planar tavern and have them attune to the circles that are available, then you would have an easy access that would enable you to enter and exit Mithranor at your leisure, which I believe it will be the only way for us to truly achieve anything in there. If we march, we do not have armies to march through the forests in the first place, but if we did, such conspicuous activity would not go unnoticed. But small, dedicated strike forces teleporting in and out, I believe that would be a very effective way for us to cleanse Mithranor of its evil and prepare it for revival.
What resistance have you encountered in the city?
Well,
What calls it home these days?
one of the greatest problems, or perhaps benefits, of backfiring events is that summoned creatures cannot disappear. Uh, a summoned creature, once summoned, remains. And unfortunately, over the years, demons have been summoned on great numbers, and not all of them have been destroyed. Many of them yet linger. And devils have been summoned to counter the demons. And unless they destroy each other, they remain there perpetually. There are also countless dragons which were invited in by the elves to protect the treasure hoards while when the city was lost. There are Bale Norns, an elven lich that who may have fallen into insanity due to centuries of abandonment. But truly, the most dangerous force of all are the humans, whether they be Cyricists or Banites, whether they've served as Zentarum or are simply rogue adventurers. They are among the most murderous and unpredictable of monsters to be found anywhere. And if you should find yourself in Mithranor, I would advise you to be very cautious about trusting people whom you would normally give time of day to.
Doesn't sound terribly welcoming.
No, on the contrary. But we will bring about change, and we will return Mithranor to its glory.
It was a worthy ideal, most definitely.
All right. That was Dagger Falls.
Here's the question. I had just a question. Would it be quicker to travel by boat to
Yeah.
Hillsfar or by land? From Dagger Falls? I remember the only reason we never took a boat before was because we had a dwarf and apparently they're allergic to water or something. So I was wondering.
I wouldn't
We could,
want to take the northern path. We got to take us right past Sentinel Keep.
Yeah, so if we go along the Tesh River, and as Eleanor points out, we'll be going past Zental Keep itself, the home of the Zentarum. If we go south, we'll have to get out at some stage, presumably at Asherburn Ford, and follow the road up there. But Asherburn Ford was the place that was one of the places that's having trouble with drow. So I guess that would be we might be able to gather some information from that. Alternatively, yeah, we can just follow the road and go past either Tesh Wave or Vernula.
What about getting off that Tesh wave and going this way?
That might work, perhaps. I'm not sure what kind of town Teshwave is. just want to avoid getting jumped by the Zentarum when we're in a vulnerable state like this.
Or a bunch of drow.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's certainly an option too. Absolutely. It has. So.
We could just go straight through the forest. What could go wrong?
No nasties lurk in the forest, surely not.
All right. So I guess we have an idea of the merits and the dangers. I can certainly clarify anything further. If there's any questions, then we can, decide.
What kind of town is Teshwave?
Kind of town of Teshwave. Teshwave is an occupied town. Teshwave has a very large number of Zentarum soldiers there. They also train monsters in the Goblin Fort, but it is a dale. It was a dale, and so it's kind of still occupied. They've been under the thumb for 40 years, and most people who remember what life used to be like are dead, and thus they're pretty much used to being under the Zentarum heel. But I think we have a spy report here. Actually, I'll here. There's a report about this. That'll be the best way of answering this. Teshwave. So this was a battle plan that was drawn up by a spy who works for the Harpers. And so this information probably comes to you. Maybe this guy turns up. Maybe the Arak. He's a Tengu. He's a black Aarakocra, a raven Aarakocra. He's very fond of his swords, his katana, and his Wazakashi. Anyway, this spy has an idea of how we might take or destroy Teshwave. He knows about you guys. He's been working towards helping you because the Harpers consider you allies, even though you know nothing about them. So here's a battle plan about Teshwave. It wasn't actually what I was looking for, I didn't think. Maybe it is. Maybe it is what I was looking for. I'll take us over to the Teshwave map because he can also show you what Teshwave looks like.
Yeah, it could come in handy for later. After we've done the Hillsfar arc, we could march our army to Teshwave and then use that as a staging point to attack Zental Keep and the Citadel of the Raven. So something to think of for the future.
Yeah, cool. So the way he sees it, these are the vulnerabilities of Teshwave if we wanted to attack it and take it back and get a bit of a buffer state. What more can we say about Teshwave?
I quite like the Knoll Pit. Anything that's a pit with monsters in is quite good.
Yeah. Whereas you can train goblins, you can give them swords and shields and bows and teach them to fight. Gnolls are fucking irredeemable, so they just chuck them all into one pit with the idea that one day they'll let them loose. It's like a modern army keeping gorillas and lions in a cage, just and unleashing them, knowing that they're not gonna, they're just as likely to kill our forces as they are to kill the enemies. All right, so that tells you a bit about Teshwave. An occupied town, and yeah.
Yeah, if it's Zentarum occupied and has been for a long time, we're unlikely to find any allies there. So like taking a ship up the river and trying to drop off here would be a bit risky. So perhaps an alternate route.
Seems like it's there, or the Drow and the Shabanford.
Passing through Drow territories probably be the lesser of the two evils.
Or down
try to go up this
Shadowdale
way.
and then all up around, I guess.
Yeah.
Vular and
Could go
Ulaj.
that way. What's Vular like?
Voonlar is a bit like Teshwave, actually. It's also an occupied town, but it doesn't have an enormous force. Teshwave has a huge force. Voonlar has an army of a few hundred. And what else have they got there? Not much. It's a small little town. If Teshwave is a bit like Dagger Falls, then Voonlar is a bit like Shadowdale. Much smaller, much simpler, and it's just a logging town mostly. They a relatively insignificant village in the scheme of things.
Perhaps what we could do then is we could go this way and then skip Vular and basically stay off the road at this point and go cross country to Hillsfar. Because it looks like this isn't forest, it's probably rolling plains or something like that. So a route like this might work.
That's what it is. It's cleared lands.
Like use the road up until this point and then go off road until we reach Hillsfar.
Through the forest and then yeah, sure.
How's that sound?
What do we think?
Yeah, sure. Sounds good.
I think the map
Yeah.
should make that easier as well.
All right. Cool.
Make sure we stock up.
So
with enough,
we
I was gonna say make sure we stock up with enough provisions and whatnot, since we'll be skipping 2 settlements on the way to Hillsfar.
I think Moog made us
yeah, good
buy a
point.
lot of food already. How many days of rations do we have in the party fund? We have 150 days of rations in the party fund.
I think that'll do. And we'll be passing through a forest at some point and wilderness. So if it comes down to it, we could probably hunt some food if we need to.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
Very good. Very good. Eleanor, a D100, please.
Also, while we travel, I'll ask the enchantress for the dagger, just so I have it on me in case I need to spring into action.
Excellent.
86.
All right. Okay. So as we're about to leave Dagger Falls, a farmer or a hunter comes in, a herbalist. Anyway, it's someone who's a little bit of all of the above. They're a whole family, a mother, a father, a bunch of children. They live out in the woods, halfway between here and Shadowdale, and they have some very expensive produce to sell. Um, you get wind of it just before you're leaving, that there are some common people looking to make, I guess, a fortune. They've stumbled across what are called mana fruit, which are an they look like an eggplant, about the same size and shape, but they're soft, a little bit like a water balloon. and extremely juicy, almost like a watermelon. And this fruit, the way they explain it to you, is a sorcerer's dream, a magician's dream. In essence, it contains raw mana within the fruit. It's an elven creation. And in practical terms, in game terms, they regenerate spell levels, or spell slots rather, spell slots. So these people want to sell some mana fruit. They know that they're worth a lot, and they want to sell each mana fruit for 50 gold pieces. Yeah.
But how well do mana fruit keep?
They keep indefinitely. As long as you don't pop them, then they stay fresh for a very long time.
How many do they have?
They have 4 of them.
4 of them. Well, even if they are consumable, they are like little pearls of power almost. Pearls
Yeah,
of
they're
power
big
are
though. They're
very
eggplant size. Yeah, but still, I know what you mean.
Yeah, pearls of power are very valuable to paladins, especially. So I'm definitely interested.
All
In fact,
right.
speaking of pearls
Yeah,
of
so
power,
they'll
I'm
sell
still
you.
bummed. I'm still bummed that I traded it for a pen to the dragon. So I'm sure I'll just get something of equal value in return, but I get a green pen. Like, thanks. But yeah, I'd be happy to buy all 4 of them, and also
All right.
share them with Leo and Sildar and anybody else who wants one.
Very cool. So you have 4 of them. Each of them regenerates a D3 spell levels, and it can go into any spell slot you want. So yeah, a 3rd level spell or 3 first, assuming you roll 3. So each time you consume one, roll a D3, and that's how many spell slots you get back, spell level slots. If that makes sense.
Cool.
3 levels worth.
Nice,
Well, up to 3 levels worth of spell.
Up to 3 levels worth of spells. That's right.
We're all spellcasters
right.
to a certain extent, so I'll buy all 4 and then give 1 to each of us.
Sounds good.
The spy, our spy master. What's her enchantress's name? I better start using it now.
I was looking earlier and I couldn't find it. She
All
was one of
right.
the adventurers from, like, we got in, well, not yeah, in Suzale when we met Balrog and the rest of them.
Right.
Because I've been looking through the
I got no idea.
all the like characters, the NPCs and things, to see if you put the mercenaries there somewhere.
Alright. We will call her Morma, because that was totally not her name, but it is now. Alright, so Morma is pretty stoked as well. The fact that they are fruit, she thinks, will make them, easier to smuggle in. They don't look like potions or anything, so it's the sort of thing that you might even be able to eat during important matches, something like that. Like having an orange when you're at halftime when you play soccer. Okay, Carrick, a D100, please.
Will do.
7-7. We're traveling through the hills now. We leave the road behind and start traveling into a rural area. And this place has a bad reputation for werewolves and vampires and ghouls and even beholders and witches and all manner of things are thought to lurk up in Dagger Hills. But what definitely lurks up there are bandits. The bandits have had a real rough time the last couple of years. Spare a thought for your local bandit, because there hasn't been much trade coming through here recently, and without trade, there's not much to do. So we're coming up to a small group of lightly armed and armored individuals. There's about 8 or 9 of them. They're pretty big guys. They're 7 of them are men and 2 of them are women, and even the women are pretty hairily armed. They're full of testosterone, full of danger. and they don't look like they're going to get out of our way. In fact, they look like they are going to give us something of a greeting.
So we'll just keep move closer and closer until we're forced to stop. If they're in the way.
And a big, burly, armed fellow crosses his arms and says, "Well, what have we here? Travellers from a foreign land."
Indeed. And what can we do for you?
You have entered the realm of Sanctara, and you will have to pay a toll to travel through our realm.
Is that actually a thing? It's clearly not, but is it? Just out of curiosity.
Well, it's not on the map. It's not on any map that you've got.
I guess I'll stand up. Put my hand on my chest. I am Leo, War Mage of Cormier, and if you do not get out of the way, you shall feel the wrath of Cormier.
Oh, ho, 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 ho. Wizards always think that they make the rules. Not around here, mate. This is a sovereign territory. You're not in Cormier anymore.
No.
Doesn't
it's just
matter where we
magic,
are.
it's just-
6th level spell slot's still going to insta-kill all of you peasants.
Well, it matters to the Sorcerer Queen. She says that there's a toll that means there's a...
The only toll that will be paid here is one with your lives if you do not let us pass.
You've got a lot of gall for someone who can't protect themselves.
This dagger is more than sufficient to deal with the likes of you.
How many more days is there until we get to Hillsfar? Travel?
We're
I'd
probably
say.
a quarter of the way. So, yeah, maybe 5 or at least 5, maybe more.
How many bandits are there?
9.
Because I feel like if I get all my high-level casting out now, when we're in the arena, I won't feel the need to, like, test the cool new spells.
Yes, test subject.
So I just picked this spell up. I wanted to find out what it does exactly.
I'm just gonna, I guess I'll give them the one last chance. Despart, or I shall kill 4 of you.
It's highly specific.
He's very serious. I would rather not stain this pathway with your blood.
We don't want much. We're not after your coin. For a lag spike to pass. It's going down, it's going down. We don't want to spill your blood either, and we don't want to take your coin. All that we ask is that you acknowledge our sovereignty. This land belongs to Sanctara now. Nobody's claiming it. Our people have lived here since before humans walked into this place. All we ask is recognition.
Look to the rest of the party.
Who or what is Sanctara? I will ask.
He's lagging a bit.
Drop. Yeah, pretty badly. It looks like it's 5,000 ping.
Hello?
Hey, am I back?
I think so. Oh yeah, we hear you.
It says it's not in there, but like Discord hasn't even loaded on my screen.
No, we can't hear you though.
But you can
That's
hear me?
bizarre.
Alright. It's just fucking very weird because I'm technically not in the chat. All right. Anyway, so all they want is recognition, apparently, whatever that means.
Because that name seems familiar. Can I do a history check to cross-reference? Like, see if I've heard it before or read of it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So you'll see on this map, there's a lodge of the sorcerer queens just over here. Where are we right now? We're halfway between I might get rid of these tokens. We're halfway between Shadowdale and Daggerdale at this point. Up in the hilly country, the hilly no man's land country. And Sanctara is a realm of werewolves, a realm of lycanthropes. It's the lands of the Black Blood, and they sort of claim the territory something like this as their own.
Hmm.
Because what was she telling them? She was like, do no like proper settlements claim the land?
They say that they were here first. We are the indigenous people. We were here long before the humans or the elves or anyone, and it is time that people recognized our sovereign.
Does Cormier have any claim over this land? Or it's just in
Not
Dagwood
at
Falls,
all.
so not interested?
No.
Yeah.
I guess Leo was suddenly look around and be uninterested with the conversation to sit down. He doesn't care who dies for this piece of dirt.
Indeed.
And I guess let's just give the context to Eleanor.
We recognize that you believe these lands are yours. But understand that we are travelers from a foreign land. I do not see why it matters whether we acknowledge it either way.
So then acknowledge it and be done with it.
Very well.
Piss off, or we'll be done with you.
It's Flightless will sort of shrug and point at him and say, like, in a bit like a dry voice, like, you have to say it first.
It would appear that some of my companions are not interested in your proposition.
Then if you will not pay the toll in words, you must pay it in blood.
I thought he pointed at him. It's like you have to say it first.
No, I mean, it's referring to Sildarin. Tell him to piss off.
Okay, because I suppose this is a bizarre request as well. It's like recognize my lands. Like you first.
Yeah, right.
Because he needs the other person to say it so he can say it.
Yeah. Conundrum. Alright, so we're not going to say the words. They're not going to let us part unless we say the words. Does it come to battle? Does it come to combat?
I guess Flightless would be willing to take the words then.
Yeah, I think I would be able to, just to avoid bloodshed.
Alright, Leo doesn't care. And Sildarin?
At most, you're basically just saying, yes, you live here.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I can acknowledge they live here.
And as I said, I acknowledge that they believe that
Any
these lands
issue?
are theirs.
I acknowledge you claim this dirt that no one cares about.
Yep.
And I guess
That's enough. Exactly. That's exactly it. No one else is claiming it, so that's the way they see it, at least.
that's like little mimic, like Eleanor's one.
I recognize that you believe you own these lands.
I like how you make a snide comment about your own voice there.
You gotta be able to mock yourself.
All right. And we pass on by.
No chain licensing? Oh, shame.
You had your chance. You had your chance.
But we have the annoying
Leo,
restriction of
D100,
being
please.
a good party. We can't just assassinate people for saying please validate me.
Please say my
Wow.
dirt is just as important as the dirt over there.
But I just got this spell. I want to try it.
D100 from Leo, please. Okay. All right. So we travel through the Dagger Hills without any real incident. We end up in Shadowdale, perhaps the most intensely magical village anywhere in Faerun. 500 people, and 1% of them are higher than 20th level, literally epic level. We must have been to Shadowdale before, surely, right?
We have been, I think. We spoke with Elminster even.
All right. All right. So you return to Shadowdale. Some return for some of you, comes the first time for others. And Shadowdale has news of its own. Elminster is gone.
Yes. I think we heard about that. I don't think it was explained why, just only that he was missing.
Yep. Yeah, and no one knows why. So here we have a village of 500 people. It's got its problems of its own: haunted temples, missing priests. All those sort of things that if we weren't in such a hurry, we'd be glad to help with. But it's one thing for the local mystery cleric to go missing, and it's one thing for the local temple to have specters. It's quite another thing when the wizard tower is flashing lights and making strange sounds, and the archmage who owns it went in a month ago and never came back out again.
And we found out about Elminster being missing because remember when he was in Tediumar, 2 party members, 1 hit from death, like complete death. We used the sending scroll to try to get the aid of Elminster, and he didn't respond because he was dead.
That's right.
Or missing.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that, but yeah, that's right.
Yeah, does it work if they're on another plane of existence? I don't think.
95% of chance it does. There's only a 5% chance it fails, and it still didn't reach him, even though it should. So he's probably dead.
Guess I'll ask if any of their. I assume there's a fairly potent priest in a town like this. I'll ask if they've asked.
Well,
That's cold.
Well,
what?
Not going to the actual cleric in the party.
Well, he would have to cast the spell to find out. I was assuming if any of the clerics who are already here have already cast Commune to see whether their deities know whether Elminster's dead or not, to save Sildarin the trouble.
there were 3 clerics. One got kidnapped. One disappeared. Presumed kidnapped. One of them died during the year of wild magic last year and was never replaced. Their spirit still haunts their temple. and the third one is a tax collector and a farmer. She's a pretty powerful tax collector and farmer, but she's just a tax collector and farmer. No, not only does the gods not know, but the other epic level heroes, Storm and her sister Dove, have been forbidden from investigating in Elminster's tower because because the town has already lost its most powerful citizen. They are not willing to risk their next most powerful citizens to try to rescue him, since the only thing that stops the Zentarum from invading is the powerful NPCs. They don't have an army to speak of.
Hmm. Do they happen to have a teleportation circle in the town like this that Leo can memorize?
In the tower.
In the tower.
In the tower.
Unfortunate.
And you're happy to memorize it if you can get into the tower.
Well, I'm curious, but as we're lacking a lot of our equipment, it would be a risk, to say the least.
Would be nice to have a teleportation circle in this
Such a
part of the
powerful
world.
wizard. This tower's got to be like guarded very well. I reckon it's just
Yeah.
probably very dangerous.
Especially to investigate for a wizard that doesn't have dispel magic.
I will banish you.
You can try. My charisma save is very high.
Actually, no. I just haste you and then end the spell, and then wail on you while you're stunned.
Mean. Right. Well, we can certainly put this on the list of things to investigate at some point. But given our current circumstances, I don't think we're in any position to look into an extremely dangerous wizard's tower to investigate a potential threat that could have potentially killed one of the most powerful wizards in the multiverse.
Wow. And do not hide their disappointment. But I guess Elminster's return just doesn't mean very much to you. They attempt to guilt trip you into doing the quest.
I guess it'd be effective because this entire problem is, I guess, not largely but partially our fault.
Is it?
Not my fault.
I mean, people who've been here since Tethiabar, like how much money do you think they got out of that?
A lot.
True.
But I'd like to point out there's at least one good way of looking at why Elminster's disappearance. I am now the most powerful wizard in this town.
Hooray!
And now I'm leaving.
And now I'm leaving. Goodbye.
But no, I'll just if they express their disappointment, I'll point out that almost everybody in the party is wearing commoners' clothes with mundane daggers, and yeah, we're in no position to undertake such a potentially risky venture. We have our own business that we have to attend to.
We could, I suppose, make plans that after to have our stuff like moved here, so that when we deal with Hillsfire, we can just come here with my gears here, and then automatic just get straight to that. If you know what I mean?
True, but could you entrust like hundreds of thousands of gold worth of magic items to a caravan guard of like, I don't know, a handful of veterans
we'll
at the very
ask Joel
most?
about to do it.
We can trust it with him. He'll make sure we get it.
I think once we get Hillsfire, which is quite close to here, we can just teleportation circle back, get our stuff, teleportation circle back to Hillsfire, and then walk here.
Yeah. I think we can do that. hope if we level up in Hillspire, we can get teleport, and that solves all our travel conundrums.
Then I suppose we'll get an item from the area, just buy something for like a gold, so that we can easily teleport back if we need to.
A souvenir.
Go to this. It has a gift shop, doesn't it? Has to.
Shadowdale's a gift shop.
It does. It does. It has a little bit of everything shop, and the guy here, the shopkeeper, is a real prick, and charges too much for everything.
But I can
But
imagine them having
give
like
you a Shadowdale souvenir.
I can imagine them having like the I went to Shadowdale and all I got was this lousy shirt. But I can imagine them having like
Precisely,
magical
that's
variants
right.
as well. As like I went to Shadowdale and all I got was this +1 shirt.
Like a little toad, and I turned my wife into a toad at Shadowdale.
Some
Fringe
elements of
magic.
plushies.
The buying
So you get a
trinkets
trinket
to couple here.
from the random.
Oh, sorry.
What's
I was gonna
sorry?
say-
I didn't hear what you said. Sorry.
I was going to say, can I get a coffee mug of Shadowdale's greatest, strongest wizard?
Perfect. Absolutely. That's right. You get a personalised mug made up. Costs 5 gold pieces. And you are now officially Shadowdale's greatest wizard. It's official. It's canon now.
I'll get like an Elminster style quill.
That's right. All right. But because we are avoiding all quests, like the plague, we with our heirlooms. Hit the road. Yeah, that's
Like Leo's
77.
still,
What was that? Oh, that's right. Elven Tree. Yeah, nothing.
Leo's still pretty potent.
All right.
But
Sildar and a
Sildarin-
D100, please.
Yeah, Sildarin and I, and Blacklist to a lesser extent. We basically don't have armor anymore. We just tank all the damage to our hit points, which probably will disappear quite quickly.
Wait, does that mean Flightless is the tank?
Well, actually,
Don't
I
worry.
do have the most hit points.
I have 13 AC, and we can make it 15.
Oh yeah, in that,
Got me
in that
beat.
sense, yeah.
I can also
Have a-
I also have Uncanny Dodge, so the first hit every round is half damage.
You are the party's tank then. Well done.
I don't. I have a respectable 90 hit points, but I don't. Like, how far we've fallen.
Yeah, we're taking a risk. All right, let's proceed.
All right. You travel along old elven roads, winding through the ancient elven forest. They're very much overgrown at this point, but trade does still occur between Shadowdale and Voonlar, so they're not completely neglected. After a day of travel through this remote paradise for some and hellscape for others, we come across a statue, a fragment of a statue. It's made of apparently marble. Looks like marble anyway. And it is a battle axe still being clutched by the hand of the statue. And it's just lying on the side of the road for no apparent reason. There's no other parts of the statue nearby, just this, none that you found, at least not yet. There's just this marble axe, marble hand, and um, It doesn't look like it's been there particularly long. It doesn't have moss or mold growing upon it. It's fairly clean.
Is there any sign of the rest of the statue?
You look around and soon you find a boot with a leg still attached to the marble boot.
Does this seem... Out of character, I have an idea what this could be. In character, it's just bizarre.
I suppose is the leg like marble as well?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the leg is marble, so is the boot. Yeah.
Just a hand and a foot.
Yeah, a hand gripping a battle axe and a foot.
Yeah, that's right. You look around a little bit more and you find a chunk of a shield, a bit of a cloak, a nose.
What happened here? Have we run into a basilisk before? I can't remember.
We have.
Yeah, I thought we might have.
We ran into a few, I think. But the one I remember is there was a basilisk just turning someone's chickens into statues and eating them, and the family was just watching from the windows, upset.
Oh yeah, I do recall that, yeah. And I guess I'll inspect a shard of one of these statues more closely.
It's
See
lifelike.
whether... Yeah. The edges, do they look sort of like nibbled? And like a creature has
Yeah,
consumed
yeah.
it?
Has gnawed upon the edges? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, or I crunched it in its jaws and fragments fell out the side. Definitely, it could definitely have happened.
It would seem that we're passing near the lair of a basilisk. Leo,
Should we speed along our journey?
have either of you encountered one of these creatures before?
I have not.
No, I have not either.
They are particularly nasty reptiles. They can turn creatures to stone with a look. Simple glance is all it takes. And they then feast upon the petrified remains. Yes, you're right. Let us hurry quickly, lest we encounter the beast.
Excellent. So we scurry on past it.
I believe so.
That is an encounter that no one has ever had. People roll it all the time, and no one ever investigates. All right. Okay, and we're cutting across from Voonlar, aren't we? We're
Yeah,
going
we're gonna
through the
skip
forest,
Voonlar, go cross country.
go over the hills. All right. You travel along the road, cut through the forest, go across the overland more than 100 miles. When at last Hillsfar comes into view. It's a tall city, tall walls, big 40-foot tall walls that go all around it. It's on the edge. It's on the coast. It backs up onto a very sheer cliff face. It is very hills near. And but what you see before you see the city itself is the camps, the war camps. The Zentarum have maybe 10,000 soldiers here, an enormous force. And you can't fit that force inside the city. Most of it has to camp outside. Even though the city has fallen, they're still, whether for defensive purposes or pragmatic ones, the majority of the army is still maintained outside of the walls or on the walls of the city. Once we get any closer than 5 miles or so, we'll be entering the outskirts of the town, the farms, the stations, the the areas that support the town, which would have almost certainly fallen to the Zentarum long before the city did. So I guess from here on, we've got to keep our nose clean. What is our plan now that we're here, or that we're about to be there?
To, I guess, proceed with the idea, which was to have the Enchantress pick us to the route to the front gates. I don't see any other way of getting in.
All right.
Explaining that they're here to have their stock, so to speak, do battle in the arena.
The lineup is incredibly long, and as people try to get in, refugees returning or whatever it is, merchants hoping to make an enormous amount of money, war-torn cities tend to pay a lot more for basic commodities. Whether they're farmers or anyone else, there's a long line of people trying to get in, and we have to join the line. And these patrols come along, or maybe patrol's the wrong word, but sort of like interrogators. It features a magician, an apprentice magician, several guards, and this enormous black dog with glowing red eyes that seems to sniff one patron to the next, one patron to the next. And as you're watching them systematically going through the people who would go into the town, the people aspiring to go into town, they shake some of them down physically, demanding what they're doing, why they have certain goods, who they're going for. The wizards use detect magic to spot hidden potions and otherwise, and they're confiscated, and the people carrying the potions are dragged away, presumably to fight in the pits at some stage. But perhaps most frighteningly of all, that red-eyed hound manages to sniff out an invisible thief, somebody who is hiding among the crowd. It just snatches them straight out of the air, as it were, and drags them out, and that person is also dragged away to be interrogated. So they've got some pretty sophisticated surveillance tools here, and they're coming up towards us. How do you feel? Do you have any concerns?
Well, we're not trying to smuggle anything in. I think we're okay. Nobody's trying to be invisible.
No.
Yeah, I think we're all right. I think the only magical items we have are the ones that are carried by the Enchantress and the mana fruit potentially, and that's about it.
All right. All right. So they scan past you, and they don't bother interrogating you. The interrogation is yet to come, but they don't notice anything. But sure enough, as mentioned, the interrogation does come. I guess most of the questions are answered by your slave master anyway, so it's not really something that you guys can really role play. But I'll just once and for all, we'll get your story straight. Who is she meant to be?
That's what's up. She is, I guess, not refugees, but she's a traveling troop master from from Cormier, who bought slaves after she lost her family and decided to spend her the rest of her money traveling up to Serpent Bridge to buy slaves, of which to fight in the arena, because she heard rumors that the arena was.
You bought all of these. You bought all of these slaves in Serpent Bridge. You bought them all at one time.
I guess the answer would be yes, because Serpent Bridge has a lot of slaves. She heard.
How much did you pay?
Can I make a history check to see how much slaves are worth?
Yeah, go ahead. And yeah.
I suppose this would be his check before to tell her how much to say.
Sure.
Yeah, the Enchantress did also spend some time
21.
in Serpent Bridge personally, so she might have some
Good
first-hand
point.
knowledge.
That's it. Yeah, so you give an appropriate price. Yeah,
I guess
all right.
he'll just point
He
at
tells
them
you
and
you
say
paid
like
too
good
much.
prices. It's like points at the Kenku, says 200. He's like too much.
Points to the
Yeah,
Kenku
too
5
much.
copper.
Too much.
Still too much.
Too much. What is your purpose of being in Hillspot?
To test, like, well, to enter the team into the arena to fight and hopefully gain some money
Very
back.
good. Well, then you've come to the right place. The circus is open. He points out where you can register your stable. Tells you that there's 100 gold piece factol fee, and he wishes you the best of luck in your upcoming ventures.
And actually, I suppose just a little point, because I actually, for the contact, I'll suppose just tip him off to like that. I suppose is bet on us. You know, there's a group coming in with a Kenku and what's the other, and an Asima. Like they're a good team. You know, give him at least that little tip. You know, reward him for his working for me.
Oh, sure. Do you know when you'll be starting to fight? Like when should I come in? What's your warband's name?
I suppose I'll give her the alias, like the alias of like the enchantress that we put in.
All right.
Say,
He'll keep an eye out for that
just
alias.
basically say, I heard that their slaves are good. A wink, wink.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
All right. He's looking forward to seeing you perform, and considers that this is a bit of an inside information. He's looking forward to it.
I mean,
All right.
the worst thing that happens is that we TPK, and at that point, disappointing him in being wrong is the least of our issues.
Precisely. So the place where you've got to register is called the Vault of Swords. The Vault of Swords is the Zentarim's base within Hillsfar. There, it's not only where their military commanders are; it's effectively the seat of government. They're a junta, right? They're literally a military junta, and so wherever the generals are is wherever the government is based. That makes sense. Where's Hillsfar? Hillsfar. There's a map of this place. Here we go. Hillsfar. Oh, dynamic lighting is on for inexplicable reasons. It's now off. The Vault of Swords over here. It's not that far away from the gates. Okay, cool. We're inside. We're inside the city. She takes us over towards the Vault of Swords, the Zentarim's military government building. And there for 100 gold pieces, she is going to register us. How much money did she bring?
That we would have brought stuff like rare ores, but we probably would have brought at least a decent amount of cash with us.
Well, I mean, I guess on my character
What's a
sheet,
decent
I have
amount?
380 gold written as cart money. Because would that be enough?
Will that be enough?
Well, it was 100 to stable, so I'll take 100 off of that.
Yep.
And it was another 100 to register, I think.
Oh, that's the registration fee, the 100. Yeah. So that'll pay for it.
And I guess for cart money, I suppose I've just handed that to her, so she has that on her. So that's 280 gold.
All right. So she's still got 280 left. Okay, cool. All right. So we pay the registration fee. What is our registered? You will need individual wrestling names, the Pete Muchacho, whatever, and you will also need a warband name.
We have to give some thought to these. Thankfully, we should have plenty of time to do so, as we've about 15 minutes left until we're done for the day.
Exactly. So that's right. So they need to register your name. So have a think about what your costume might be if you're wearing a mask, for example, or if your party composition represents something. If the magic that you're going to cast, you might want to like call yourself Chains of Lightning or something, and then how can they not let you cast? You're telling me that Jake the Snake can't use a snake? That's bullshit. It's in the name.
My name is Gun. A bit blunt, I think.
Indeed. Clash of the Canovs.
Captain Cormier.
Captain Cormier! Fucking brilliant! You are not going to get a better name than that. We have found peak wrestler name.
Leo,
The rest of you are going to have to make poor imitations.
Jake wins. Like, there's no bet.
Jake wins. Captain Goddamn Cormier. Captain Cormier should wear armor, shouldn't he? God, why isn't Captain Cormier wearing armor? This is bullshit. Oh, but you are. Very good. Very good. You have to come out with like a flag on, like an American flag, right? It's brilliant.
What is the flag of Cormier?
Purple dragon.
It is indeed.
It's telling me that Discord hasn't loaded yet. How ironic.
Yeah, I'll post a little image. I think that would be it. What? There's a few different ones, but it's purple Durgan on a shield.
Yeah, purple dragon on white background. That's their insignia.
Yeah, that sounds about. Is it? Cool. All right. So that's good. That's a great start. Yeah. So you know what to think about. What do you represent in the ring? What 8-year-old you call you?
But to be fair, I think Flightless is pretty typecast in Hillsfar. Like he has to be a villain.
Can only be a heel.
Yeah, like he's like the Black Feather.
Indeed. Well, just as right. Black Feather. Oh, there we go. Black Feather. That's a villain's name. Probably.
Like he's the one who goes to
villain,
stab
probably.
you and then like shoots you with a gun, and then everyone boos.
I saw that coming. Ref, how did you not see that coming,
He
Ref?
reaches into his cloak and it was like, he's gonna pull a dagger, and suddenly there's a big like crack and like a spurt of like smoke.
Yeah, right. And the ref doesn't hear it or see it or smell it because he was looking the other way at the time. All right, Black Feather. That sounds like someone who can get away with cheating. Sure.
Those are both such good names. I'm trying my best to think of one that lives up to it.
I'd have to What's your gimmick?
Mine.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, or Sildarin's. Yeah.
Let's see. What's most immediately apparent?
I was gonna say Spirit of Cormier, but like we've already got Captain Cormier because it's already got the
Yeah.
name in the.
Yeah, I think Captain Cormier is just too good. I'm not gonna try and like go for anything.
And
too
also,
similar.
I think if you do that, like at some point you'll have to fight each other.
Yeah, like who's the real Captain Cormier?
I think that would be an interesting fight.
I don't know. It depends what spells you have access to.
I think even without spells, I think it'd be pretty interesting because I just think wailing at each other with two-handed weapons. I think though you'd have more strength, but I'd probably just use Booming Blade to make up for that.
Can you out damage my smites though?
Melee wizards, fun.
If you had access to any spell, you just point at me and you don't think you have access to force cage, but you could trap me in a wall of force or something. There's literally nothing I can do about it.
Not much he can do to you in the Wall of Force, then.
No, although you might be able to, I don't know, cast some sort of lingering damage effect and then trap me in there with it. Who knows what a wizard has up their sleeve?
I suppose between shield and silver, no, we don't. It doesn't allow silvery barbs, but between shield and other clericals, other abjuration spells, I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah, it could be it could be an interesting fight. Yeah. A fight where flight wouldn't enable you to just auto win because I can also fly. That'd be quite spectacular for the onlookers. Two warriors fighting midair. Anywho, names. You got anything, Sildar?
I guess not.
I guess not.
Just lean into this get a comedic one. Just be angry woman.
Angie.
So bad it painted to me 10 minutes to do this shit joke.
Hmm.
Captain Gormia, here he comes.
Also, I think I have nearly £3 of equipment on me. I think that's the least amount of equipment a level 12 characters has ever had.
Yeah, I've got clothes and that's it.
Except the dagger and the flint shards.
Yeah, I'm not carrying my dagger on me because I assumed that I can't.
Once we get some notoriety, get the pistol on. I sneak that in. But I also can't help but think Eleanor would disapprove of that type of fighting.
What type of fighting?
You start the honorable duel by blasting him in the face with a pistol.
Yeah.
Or you end the deal with that.
Point blank shot.
Disengage, 5-foot step, shoot him in the head.
So I'm thinking about wearing a mask. Specifically, sort of how do I describe it? Like a blindfold almost, like a strip of cloth tied around my head, but with some slits cut out. And since I'm used to fighting in full plate helms, having my vision reduced like that shouldn't be too much of a handicap. And it should hide my eyes from view.
Maybe stuff
perhaps
like Blind
a
Justice
name.
or something.
Yeah, I did consider that one.
Zorro.
Or Zorro. Or Maiden of Mystery or something like that.
All right, Maiden of Mystery.
Yeah, so that's my work in progress name. I think of something
Very
better.
good.
Sure.
Sildar and what's your signature move?
Thinking of our gladiator names.
Yes.
Well, you cast Booming Blade a lot. That's like your signature attack.
Hey, you can be
So
the
perhaps-
boomer.
You could be Boomer.
The Boomer. What about something like, I don't know,
Thumper.
like rolling thunder maybe? I don't know.
Are we actually going to get weapons to fight with, do we think?
I think it depends on the situation.
It depends on the match, I imagine.
Because if
But
they're,
I
like,
imagine in most fights we
the-
get something.
You know, the historic fight of Hillsfar against the goblins, you'd probably get something as we get swarmed by goblins.
Yeah, I'll probably end up casting that spell, I would imagine. Destructive Wave's probably a little too showy in the early
I suppose
days.
it could be the Tide of Chaos. Tide of the Storm, like Tide of the Storm.
Probably go with something like Stormcrow or
Oh, there we go.
Stormcrow, yeah, that's good.
Stormcrow.
That's
That,
pretty
because
good.
we've already got a crow as well, so you know. So they always get you mixed with. They think that the Kenku is Stormcrow, and no one actually knows what your name is. All right,
And the
and
other
finally, and the other guy, and his mascot. And finally, what is our group name going to be? Who are we? Degeneration X, Demolition, Road Warriors, Powers of Pain.
Imagine like Mormons slaves. Yeah, got you.
In fact, I think I'll just shorten mine to just simply Maiden.
Okay.
What is it? And with like, let's just use a piece of charcoal to like make his dagger like look black from a distance. Got to get the aesthetic right if you want to be a good heel.
In fact,
Arctic is
what's this?
deceased. But like something like the
Iron
form.
Maiden.
Yeah, I did think Iron Maiden, perhaps.
Like, okay, Margaret.
Margaret,
You're not wearing any armor, so wouldn't it be Cloth Maiden?
yeah.
Maiden. Fabric Maiden. So what about a group name? Did we come up with one? Slightly.
So wear that dress that people always is it like blue and
Uh,
gold or like the other colours?
So yeah, a party name. Don't know.
You know,
Think of it next week.
I think so. We can always discuss in the group chat.
Absolutely.
I gotta say this session was like a lot of fun.
All right, gentlemen. Well,
I'm looking forward
so
to next
yeah, starting a week earlier than you suspected next week, and we finally made it to Hillsfar.
Love daylight savings. I forgot it kicked in America, and then it's also then kicked in New Zealand. I forgot about it.
Pain in the ass, right?
2
hours
Like,
being
it's
because everything's 1 hour
Yeah,
earlier than you think, then it's 2 hours
it's,
earlier than you think.
fucking, we're gonna go through all of this again in 5 or 6 months' time, right? Twice a year this happens. Twice a fucking year.
I guess anyway, we should say goodbye to the internet. Goodbye, internet. It's been fun.
Thanks, internet. See you later, everyone. I'm gonna head off. See you.